A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to give you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. You get a call that a clothing store in Hollywood is suffering losses. The value of the stolen property is over $12,000. There's no lead to the identity of the thief. No pattern to his M.O. Your job, get him. Today, you hear these three words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette with a proven good record with smokers. And first cigarette to have such a record. Chesterfield's for me. Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want, the mildness you want. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, June 3rd. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Bernard. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 9:56 a.m. when we got to 1592 Vine Street, Dodd's men's store. Excuse me?
Yeah?
Wonder if you can tell us where we can find Leonard Dodds?
Yeah, that's him, fellow back there in the blue suit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I don't know how it happened, honey. No, I just came in this morning and I noticed the stuff was gone. Well, a whole shipment of suede coats. Haven't even been unpacked yet. Yeah, about 24 of them. Well, white with a button-down collar. Yeah, I called the cops and the insurance company. Yep. Well, about 12,000. Well, a couple of customers just came in, honey. I'll call you back. Yep. Well, don't worry about it. Goodbye. Yes, sir? Can I help you, gentlemen?
Mr. Dodds?
That's right.
Police officers. This is Frank Smith. My name's Friday.
How do you do, sir?
You reported a burglary this morning?
Yeah, you guys from Hollywood?
No, sir. We're out of Central.
I didn't think I'd seen you around here before.
You want to tell us what happened?
Yeah, come on back to the storeroom.
When did you first discover the theft?
Well, this morning when I came in, I went back here to unpack some new merchandise, and I found most of it gone. Here, I'll get the door. Now, this is our storeroom. When we get a shipment from the east, the cases are kept here until we get a chance to unpack them and check the invoices.
I see. Was all of the stolen merchandise taken from this room?
I'm not sure about that. I do know that a shipment of suede jackets and waistcoats was in here. It's gone now. A couple of cases of shirts, too. The only way I'd have of knowing if they took anything from out in the store itself would be to make a complete inventory.
Mm-hmm. What do you estimate the loss at?
$12,000.
When was the last time you saw the merchandise in here?
Yesterday afternoon.
About what time?
Well, I'd have to guess at that. I'd say about 3 or 3:30.
How many doors are there to the store here?
Just the front one. One in the back. Opens into an alley.
What if we could see the rear door?
Sure. Back this way. One of the first things I thought of, too, but it was locked.
You opened the door this morning, did you?
Yes, I found the stuff gone, then I checked the door. It was still locked.
Uh-huh. You have an alarm system in the store?
Yes, it didn't go off last night, so.
I see.
Here's the door. You can see for yourself there's nothing wrong with the lock.
How about it, Joe? No, there's no signs of it, Jimmy.
Well, that's what I thought, too. I looked pretty close. Couldn't see any sign of where they got in.
How about windows? Possible they got in through a window?
No, I'm sure of that. Only two we've got are in the tailor shop. Here. Well, you can see them up there. Good 10 feet and barred. They couldn't have gotten in there.
All right, we'll have our crime lab take a look.
Who has keys to the place?
Well, I've got one.
Yes, sir, but who else?
Well, they're just me and Al.
Al?
Yeah, Al Baker. He's sort of the assistant manager. Whenever I'm not around, he takes charge of things.
Could we see him?
Well, you can when he comes in. Listen, I don't want you to give him any trouble. I'd trust him with anything at all. I don't want you asking him a lot of embarrassing questions.
All right, sir. How long has he worked for you?
Oh, I guess it's been about 5 years. I don't think I could run the place without him. Sure wouldn't want to try.
I see. Besides this Baker, how many people do you have working for you in the store?
3 others full-time. During rush periods, I call in extra help.
Can you give us a list of their names?
Yes, but you can be sure of one thing.
What's that?
Isn't anybody who works at the store did this.
You seem pretty sure about that.
Well, I know my people. All of them have been with me for a couple of years. I trust them all.
I noticed that you're doing some remodeling here. How about the workmen? Possible one of them took the merchandise?
Mr. Friday, do you know how much $12,000 in clothes is?
Yes, sir, I have an idea.
The both of you couldn't carry it in one trip. Not in a couple of trips. Whoever took those clothes was here a long time, and he worked hard getting them out of the store.
Yes, sir, but about the workmen?
It couldn't have been one of them. None of them have keys to the place. We have to open up to let them in, and they leave before we close. If they tried to get the things out of the store, one of us would have seen it. Couldn't possibly have been one of them.
Frank?
Yeah?
You want to call the crime lab?
Sure. Can I use your phone?
Yes. It's on the counter in front of the store. I just don't understand it.
Sir?
Just doesn't seem to be any way they could have gotten all of the clothes out. No way at all.
Well, they must have found one. 10:38. The crew from the crime lab arrived and went over the place. The whole store was checked, and all entrances and exits of the store were checked for fingerprints. Both the front door and the rear exit were examined, but there was no mark of a jimmy. The windows on the second floor were gone over, but the locks on them were secure, and there was no apparent way they could have been used to remove the stolen merchandise. We talked to the other clerks in the store. From them, we got approximately the same story that we'd obtained from the store manager. They verified that the merchandise had been on the premises at 3:30 p.m. the day before. None of them could say for certain that it was there after that, however. While Frank was checking with the members of the crew from the crime lab, I called the names of the employees into the record bureau for a check. Yeah, that's Baker, B-A-K-E-R. WMA, 46 years, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 156 pounds. Right. What? No, no visible marks or scars. Right.
Joe, I got something for you.
Okay, if you'll check the names, I'll give you a call later. Right. What do you got?
Come on upstairs. I got talking to Lee, and I figured from what they found, the merchandise had to be taken out in the daytime.
Lee goes along with that?
Yeah. The way the doors look, if they were open, somebody used a key.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks like we do, that somebody took the cases out, planted them, then picked the stuff up last night.
Well, what do you got up here?
A window that opens out on the roof of the next building. We checked the lock. It hasn't been tampered with.
Yeah.
Come on. Climb up.
No bars on this one, huh?
Over here. Right there behind the air shaft.
Now, what is it?
Take a look.
Shirts.
In this one, suede coats.
Was this all that was taken?
No. Manager says it's about half.
No sign of the rest of it, huh?
No. Must have taken that last night. Figures the thief will be back tonight for the rest.
Well, it'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
So will we. We asked the manager of the clothing store to keep watch on the cases of stolen merchandise while we made arrangements to place a stakeout on them. 12:14 p.m. The crime lab finished their investigation, and Frank and I talked with Lee Jones. He told us that he'd checked the fingerprints found on the doors and windows, but that all of them had been eliminated as they belonged to the members of the store staff or to the workmen. He told us that they'd found an impression of a tire print in the dirt of the alley next to the building where the stolen clothing had been found. He went on to say that they'd checked and had found that the truck belonging to the plaster contractor had tires of the same type that had left the impression. The canvas was made of the tenants in the building next to the clothing store, but they could give us no new information on the possible identity of the thief. 3:52 p.m. We checked back with the record bureau on the list of names of store employees.
Yeah. When was that? Uh-huh. How long? You get out clean? Mm-hmm. Nothing on the rest of them, huh? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Anything?
Yeah. They checked the names, came up with one possible.
Yeah.
The assistant manager, Al Baker.
Uh-huh.
He's done time for burglary.
The record bureau had come up with the information that Alfred Roger Baker had been arrested in 1943 for burglary. He'd been tried and convicted on 3 counts. He'd spent a term in the state penitentiary at San Quentin, and he'd been released. Since that time, he apparently had led the life of an exemplary citizen. 4:07 p.m. Frank and I took him to the office of the clothing store to talk to him.
Sit down, Baker.
Sure. What's this all about? You don't think I had anything to do with this burglary, do you?
How many times have you been arrested?
Why do you ask that?
We just want an answer.
You seen the record?
We've seen it.
You know without me telling you.
We'd like to hear it from you.
I was arrested once. I did the time. I'm clean since then. I thought when you did the time and they let you out, you didn't owe anybody anything.
Yes, that's right.
Well, then what are you guys hopping on me for? I just work here. I mean, just because I did a hitch for burglary that I had anything to do with this.
We didn't say you did.
Well, you're sure acting like I did, bringing me in here talking about how I was arrested. Sure acting like you think I had something to do with this one.
Well, you look good for it.
How do you figure that?
You got the only other key to the door.
Look, I don't like to bring this up. Maybe you bright cops haven't thought about it, but who says Dodds couldn't have done it himself?
What do you mean?
Well, he's in trouble, big trouble. This would be an easy way out of it.
All right, you tell us.
Well, all the stuff is insured. It'd be pretty sweet for him to lift the merchandise, collect on the insurance, and then sell the stuff, too. It'd come out real good.
That's the way you got it figured, huh?
I'm not trying to figure it anyway. All I know is that you guys are trying to wrap something around me that doesn't fit, and I want no part of it. If I'm right, Don, it must be a couple of guys work here who could have done it.
Well, the way we got it, the thief used a key.
Well, that brings us right back to Dodds.
Well, if he's in trouble financially, then why is he doing all this remodeling?
He hasn't got much choice. He's got to brighten this place up or he's going to lose what business he's got. You check into him. You look it up. You'll see what I'm talking about. It makes a lot more sense than you hauling me in here.
Can you account for your time last night?
From when?
From the time you left here.
Yeah, I can give you every minute.
All right, go ahead.
I left here at 6:30. That's the time I always leave.
Who was here when you left?
You mean who locked up?
That's right.
Leonard. He always locks up, always.
Where'd you go after you left?
Went up to the corner and had a beer. That's like always, too.
Anybody in the bar know you?
Yeah, the bartender and the waitress.
They'll vouch for you?
Sure they will.
All right, go ahead.
After I left there, I drove home.
What time did you leave the bar?
About 7:10. I had one beer, smoked 2 cigarettes, put a nickel in the nut machine on the bar, and went home. I left at 7:10. Sure wish I knew you were going to want to know all this. I'd have been more careful about remembering. I forgot how many nuts I got from the machine. I'll take a wild guess and say 14. I got no way of proving that. You'll have to take my word for it.
What time did you get home?
By 7:50.
Where do you live?
Out in the valley. Traffic's heavy going out at the pass that time, and it took me 10 minutes longer than it usually does.
You prove when you got home?
Yeah, I can.
How?
Talk to my wife. We got a time clock on the wall just as you come in the door. I punch in and out. The time will be there.
What about last night?
I was home all night. I had dinner, sat around and watched television, went to bed.
You didn't leave your house, huh?
No, not from the time I got home last night until I left this morning. Pretty bad, isn't it?
How do you mean that?
I can prove every minute of it. Look, you get off my back, cop. You start looking around. You'll come up with a lot of guys who had a lot more chance and a lot more reason to heist that stuff than I do. That won't be hard because I haven't got any. You sit tight and I'll show you who sold that stuff.
Huh?
Wait a minute.
Where are you going?
Just over to the desk. I want to show you something.
What?
You'll see.
Hold it just a minute. Now, you show me what you want and I'll get it for you.
Hey, you cops, you never learn, do you? Open the top drawer.
This one?
Yeah.
All right.
Now open that one.
All right, what do you want?
A folder right there.
This one?
Yeah, that's the one. Put it up on the desk.
All right.
Go on, open it.
Yeah?
Now take a good look at the reason the stuff was stolen.
What is it, Joe?
Bills. There isn't anything in the store that's paid for. Take a look at them yourself. Here. Look here. Past due. Please remit. Your credit is important. Overdue. Past due. Go through the rest of them. They're all like that. There isn't a place in the country anymore that'll extend any credit to Dodds. Not one. You're looking for somebody who had a reason to steal the stuff? Well, there's your answer. You talk to Leonard Dodds. He's got the reason.
Come in.
Joe. Thanks. See you a minute.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Telling you, you got to lean on somebody. You lean on Leonard Dodds. He's the one. Don't come around here bothering me.
Joe.
Yeah? Yeah, what do you got?
He might be telling the truth.
Huh?
Stuff on the roof.
Yeah.
It's gone.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Meet Peter Lind Hayes and Mary Healy, America's favorite husband and wife comedy team. They are typical of smokers everywhere who are saying, Chesterfields for me. Mary says,
I've smoked regular-sized Chesterfields for about 7 years. Guess that ought to prove how I feel about Chesterfield's taste and mildness.
Peter says, Chesterfields for me, too.
As far as I'm concerned, King is the only size. And like Mary says, Chesterfield is the only cigarette.
Either way you like them, I'll bet you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
Yes, smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular and king-size Chesterfield. The best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
With With the removal of the remaining packages on the roof, our main opportunity of catching a thief was gone. We questioned the people in the store about it. From them, we learned that the manager, Leonard Dodds, had brought the cases of clothing into the store himself. We talked to him, and he offered as an explanation the fact that the insurance company wouldn't like him leaving a supply of expensive suede coats up on the roof. He went on to say that catching the thief was our business, but we were not to interfere with his running of the store and any attempt to apprehend them. We tried to question him regarding the accusations made by the salesman, Al Baker. He said they were ridiculous and that we should know better than to listen to the accusations made by an ex-convict. He went on to say that he resented the questions we put to him, and that if we intended to continue, he would have to get in touch with his lawyer. We contacted the office and made arrangements for a stakeout to be set up on the roof of the building next door, and then Frank and I returned to the office to check further on Leonard Dodds. We checked with his bank, and we found that he had several notes on the clothing store. The head of the loan department told us that Dodds' payments had been irregular, and that at the time he was overdue on one of the notes. We contacted the insurance company and found that Dodds had made a claim on the stolen merchandise that morning and had requested payment as soon as possible. We turned a list of the stolen articles over to pawn shop detail and asked them to see that the information would get into the hands of the second-hand dealers in the city. 10:15 p.m. Frank and I filled out the log and prepared to leave the office.
You about ready?
Yeah, I'll be right with you. I got it. Burglary Friday. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm not sure. No, the officer that handled the case isn't here right now. What if I could take a message? Yes, ma'am. He'll call you when he gets in. All right, Yes, all right. If you'll wait just a minute, I'll transfer you to the main jail. No, the main jail. They'll probably be able to tell you. Yes, that's right. Just a minute. Hold on, please. Would you give this call to 2949, please? That's right, the bill clerk. Thank you. Woman wants to know how much it's going to cost to get her husband out of jail.
Yeah.
I got it. Burglary Friday. Yeah, Yeah, that's right, we did. Yeah. Well, when was that? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay, we'll wait here. Right, bye. Well, looks like we got it made, maybe.
What do you mean?
Radio car out in the Westlake district just picked up a couple of kids.
Uh-huh.
Both of them were loaded down with clothes.
Yeah.
Label on them is Dodds Clothing. The radio car officer had told me on the phone that he and his partner, while making a routine patrol of the area, had spotted two boys walking down the streets carrying large quantities of clothing. When they were stopped, the two suspects were unable to account for the clothes, and they were not able to tell the arresting officers where they'd gotten them. In checking the pair out, the officers had called burglary detail, and we'd gotten our first concrete lead to the thief. 10:47 p.m. The two suspects arrived at the office. Their names were checked through R&I, and they were both found to have misdemeanor records listing petty theft and attempted burglary. One of them, Walter Kramer, had been convicted on burglary charges and had been sentenced to Preston School for Boys. He was at the time on parole. While the other boy waited in the squad room, Frank and I questioned Kramer in the interrogation room.
How old are you?
18.
Where do you live?
You know that already. What are you asking me again for? I told the other cop, gave him all the information.
Where do you live?
2574 Brandon Street.
You want to tell us where you got the clothing you had when you were picked up?
You're smart cops. You figure it out.
You on parole now?
No, I got out clean.
Are you still that way?
That depends on how you read this one.
Where'd you get those things?
I found them.
You expect us to buy that?
I don't care if you buy it or not. It's the truth.
You're pretty heavy, aren't you?
I've been around.
That time up at Preston didn't do you much good, did it?
Be surprised what I learned up there.
Not what you were sent there for.
That depends on where you're sitting.
You were picked up carrying a load of stolen clothes.
You want to tell us where you got them?
You tell me.
Now, come on, kid. Where'd you get the clothes?
You going to play it that way, are you?
There ain't any other.
Where were you yesterday?
Starting when?
From when you got up?
I got to tell you all that?
We want to hear it.
Pretty dull.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I got up about noon.
You got a job?
Yeah.
Where?
Around.
What do you do?
Nothing. I'm a philosopher. I study people. I just sit around all day and study people.
How do you live?
Stay with my folks. They pick up the tab.
Go ahead.
With what?
What you did yesterday.
Told you. I got up about noon. Had some breakfast, then went over to Harry's.
That's the boy you were picked up with?
Yeah, I went over to his house. Sat around and watched the television.
How long were you at his house?
Maybe 6. Sat around and talked philosophy. Talked and watched the old movies.
What'd you do then?
Left and went out to study people.
Where'd you go?
Went down, played a couple of games of pool, had something to eat.
And after that?
Went out to a movie.
You got any way of proving that?
Sure, talked to Harry.
See your alibi?
Yeah, you talk to him. He'll tell you.
Now, you may not know this, but he's in the theft as deep as you are.
I got some information for you, cop. Neither one of us is in on it at all.
All right, get your coat.
Where you taking me?
City jail.
You gonna book me?
You called it.
How about Harry?
Well, how about him?
He going too?
Yeah.
What charge?
Suspicion 459 PC.
Burglary?
That's right. Come on.
You mean that stuff is really stolen?
That's right.
You're telling me right?
Yep.
It ain't true.
You tell us about it.
No, I mean, Harry and me didn't steal the stuff. At least not the first time.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we stole it. Yeah, you got us cold for that. But not the first time.
Well, where'd you get it?
From a garage? That's the truth. We stole the stuff from a garage.
Where is the place?
I'll show you. There's a lot more stuff there. A lot more.
Clothing?
Yeah.
Whose garage is it?
I don't know. Harry and me were walking around out there, and we saw this truck pull up. Guy got out and then loaded some packing cases.
When was all this?
Last night. The way the garage looked, though, it wasn't the first time. The place was loaded. A lot of shirts, coats, suits, all kinds of things. Harry and me figured that we might as well help ourselves. But we didn't steal the stuff originally, not the first time.
What's the address where the garage is?
I don't know. Up on Shortdale Avenue near the lake.
We take you up there. Will you point it out for us?
Sure, I'll show you. I want to see him get his. Get it real good.
What do you mean?
Imagine having a garage full of stolen things. Terrible, that's what it is.
Is that right?
Sure. The important thing is that you know that we didn't steal it the first time. You got to believe that. We didn't steal it the first time.
Is there really a difference? 12:15 a.m. We talked to the suspect that had been picked up with Kramer. He gave us substantially the same story that we'd gotten from the first boy. They both agreed to take us out to the garage where they'd found the stolen merchandise. Before we left the office, we put in a call to the clothing store, but there'd been no report from the stakeout on the roof. The two suspects directed us to drive out towards Silver Lake. We took the freeway out to Glendale Boulevard and turned right. We drove out to Loma Vista, and then we turned right again. The boys directed us up the hill and then onto a side street. We went about a half a block farther before they pointed out the house to us. We drove down the street and parked the car. Frank and I and the two suspects walked back to the house and into the rear of the yard. A two-car garage in the rear of the building was unlocked. We went in. Scattered around the place, we found several large packing cases of clothing. The labels on them were from some of the most exclusive men's stores in the city. There was no question about it. This was the plant for the stolen merchandise. Frank stood by the back door of the house, and I went up on the front porch and rang the bell.
Yeah?
You're Martin Hetman, aren't you?
Yeah, do I know you?
My name's Friday, police department.
Oh, yeah, I met you over at Dodge. What is it, some more questions?
Yeah, a few.
Kind of late to come around it.
Well, maybe a little.
You're just going to turn in. Can you wait till the morning? I could come down to the police department.
No, I'm afraid we're going to have to talk tonight.
Oh. Okay, come on in.
Thank you. Anybody else in the house?
Just my wife and the kids.
Where are they?
Upstairs. They're all asleep. I told you I was just going to turn in.
Mm-hmm. That garage out back, does that belong to you?
What?
The garage out in the back of the lot, is it yours?
Yeah, it's mine. Why?
What do you use it for?
What do you use a garage for? I keep the truck there.
Well, where's the truck tonight?
I left it at a service station down Glendale Boulevard. Having a grease and the oil change. Why?
Anybody else use the garage besides you?
No.
Everything in it belong to you?
You mind if I call my lawyer?
Well, you can do that from downtown.
You arresting me?
Yes, sir.
You found the stuff, huh?
We found it.
That cigarette?
Yeah, here. Here's a match.
I guess I should have gotten it out of the garage sooner.
Mm.
Figured on it first thing in the morning. When you talked to me this morning at Dodge, I should have known. Should have known right then. I didn't think you'd figure it this way.
All right, come on, get your coat.
Yeah, just let me finish the cigarette. You sure had it figured. Going real good. Want to hear about it?
All right.
Well, I'm a plastering contractor. You know that.
Yeah, you told us that this morning.
Well, I bid on the jobs. All the contractors submit bids on how much we'll do the work for. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I always got in with a low bid. Used to drive the other contractors crazy. Never could figure out how I could come out on it. You see it, though, don't you?
Well, you tell me.
Well, you see, if a job would cost me, say, $3,500 to do, I'd put in a bid for $2,500. I always get the job, and then I'd steal the other $1,000 of merchandise, see?
Mm-hmm.
That way, I could come out and nobody get hurt.
What about the store owner?
They weren't insured. Only body in the middle was the insurance company, so you see, nobody really got hurt.
You about finished with that cigarette now?
Yeah, just about. You're pretty lucky, you know?
Is that right?
Yeah, sure. This was going to be the last time. I figured that after this, I'd be able to go it straight. Got my equipment all paid for, money in the bank. Figured I could go it straight. This was going to be the last time.
Well, you were right, weren't you?
Hey, you mind telling me something?
What's that?
How'd you tag me? How'd you find out?
We caught a couple of kids breaking into the garage. They'd stolen some of the clothes. They were picked up, and they pointed the place out to us.
Kids?
That's right.
Oh, about that. That's really terrible, isn't it?
What is?
Oh, this younger generation. Now, I had legitimate reason. I was just trying to come out. Wasn't anybody going to get hurt my way. But those kids. I hope you're going to put them away for a long time, little thieves.
Come on, get your coat. Let's go.
It's just awful. No sense of honesty at all. I sure hate to think of what the world's coming to.
You want to tell me something, Hetman?
Well, sure, what do you want to know?
Well, you said you just stole the difference between what you agreed to do the job for and what it really ought to be. I got it right?
Yeah, just the difference.
Well, you hit the Dodge store pretty hard, didn't you? $12,000 worth?
Well, you see, that was a kind of a deal.
Well.
I didn't get anything on the last job, not a thing, so I had to make up for it, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I had to come out some way. Nobody'd expect me to take a complete loss with it.
I wouldn't know about that.
I just wanted what I had coming.
Yeah, well, you're going to get it this time.
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 17th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, the next time you buy cigarettes, I wish you'd give our Chesterfields a try. Now, that's all we ask. Just try them, because these cigarettes do a better job of selling themselves than anything I could say. Either way you buy them, regular or king size, I know you'll like them, because they smoke mild and they're really satisfying. Join the millions of smokers who've made Chesterfield America's most popular two-way cigarette. And when you do, I'm convinced you'll agree that Chesterfields are best for you.
Martin Averill Hetman was tried and convicted of burglary in the second degree, 4 counts, and received sentence as prescribed by law. Burglary in the second degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years, or by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 1 year. Walter James Kramer and Samuel Arthur Nicholson were tried and convicted of burglary in the first degree. Burglary in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for a period of not less than 5 years.
This is the year that the March of Dimes has started its polio prevention program. And your dimes and dollars are going to determine just how far this program is carried out. Join the March of Dimes and give extra. Give extra for victory over polio. You'll be glad you did.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Harry Bartell, Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
This is it. Save thousands of filter tip smokers who have switched to L&M filters. At last, a filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste. And a pure, non-mineral filter. You get effective filtration because only L&M filters use alpha cellulose, entirely pure and harmless to health. It's the light and mild smoke. Much more flavor, much less nicotine. This is it. As Rosalind Russell puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Today, buy L&M filters.
Listen now to Barry Craig, next on the NBC Radio Network. Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers. first major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to juvenile detail. 4 children in your city have apparently been abandoned by their mother. There's no trace of the woman's whereabouts. There's a possibility of foul play. Your job, investigate. Today, you hear these 3 words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette with a proven good record with smokers. And first cigarette to have such a record. Chesterfield's for me. Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want, the mildness you want. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, February 8th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of juvenile detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Powers. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from Juvenile Hall, and it was 7:46 p.m. when I got to 1335 Georgia Street. The office.
Joe?
Yeah, Irene?
You talked to Captain Powers?
Yeah, the way it looks, Frank's going to be tied up in court for a couple of days. It's going kind of hard.
Gang war, isn't it?
Yeah, seems like everybody in town's climbed on this one. Really making a big thing out of it.
Uh-huh.
Well, the skipper said I was supposed to give you a hand on anything that might come up.
Then you just made it. Woman in the next office. You better talk to her.
What's it about?
It'll be better if you got it straight from her.
Was she a crank?
I don't think so. See what you can figure.
All right.
Mrs. Eggers?
Yes, Miss Gardner. You ready to do something about this?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like you to meet Sergeant Friday. Joe, this is Mrs. Eggers.
How do you do?
Miss Eggers?
If you'd give him the story the way you told it to me.
You bet I will. Sit down, young man. I'll tell you all about it.
All right.
Get your book out.
I beg your pardon?
Your book. You're going to take some notations, aren't you?
Well, if you'll just tell us what this is all about.
Yeah. Well, I don't want you to get the idea that I'm the nosy type. I'm not. It's just that I take an interest in the things that go on around me. Civil-minded, the way they put it in the papers.
Uh-huh.
Of course, there are people who say that I pay too much mind to their business, but it isn't true, not a bit of it.
If you tell the sergeant what happened.
Oh, yeah. Well, these people moved into the house about 6 months ago, the 5 of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Stevie, Pamela, Carol, Martin, and the mother, Rowena. 4 kids and the mother.
All right. Would you like to go on?
Well, now, right off, I could spot this woman. Seen a lot of them.
Well, how do you mean that, Miss Eggers?
You can make it crystal if it's any easier.
Yes, ma'am. What did you mean? That you've seen a lot of them?
Alkies, you know. Drunks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's one. I could spot it right off. Her and those 4 beautiful children.
Yeah.
Well, the first few months they lived there, I'd maybe see her a couple times a week, you know, going in the house or coming out. Just a couple times a week.
I see.
Last week, 10 days, I hadn't seen her at all. Not even a little sight.
Mm-hmm.
So right off, I figured that something was wrong. That's the way it looks to me.
All right, thank you, Miss Eggers. We'll check on the house right away.
Well, that's what I wanted this policewoman to do. I told her I'd go right along with you.
Well, that won't be necessary.
Now, listen, young man, if there's anything wrong with them kids, I want to know about it. I want to do my part. The whole neighborhood's talking.
Is that right?
Sure. Little Stevie's been to all the houses looking for something to do, asking for work. It just seems to me that there's something wrong about the whole caboodle of them. Not seeing the mother and the way the boy don't eat the lunch plate, not seeing the other kids. There's something that don't fit over there.
All right, ma'am, we'll look right into it.
You just do that. We'll see what I say is true.
Thank you, Mrs. Eggers.
Don't go thanking me. Just trying to be civil-minded, that's all.
Mm-hmm.
Just seems that there isn't anybody who cares about those kids.
Well, that's not true, Miss Eggers.
What?
We do. 8:14 p.m. Policewoman Irene Gardner and I left the office and drove over to the address the Eggers woman had given us. The house was a small one-story clapboard building located on the rear of the lot. The front yard was overgrown with weeds, and there were neighborhood advertising papers lying around. When we arrived, there was a faint light on in one of the front rooms. Irene and I went up to the front door, and we knocked. We got no answer. I tried the door, but we found it locked. There was no sound from inside the place. The shades were drawn over the windows so that it was impossible for us to see into the house. We walked around to the rear and tried the back door.
It's locked.
Yeah, doesn't look like there's anybody home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk to that Agers woman again, huh?
All right.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? From the story she gave us, the kid should be at home.
Well, she might be seeing things, Joe. You know, trying to figure out some way to get attention.
Yeah, might be. Didn't seem like that to me, though.
Joe?
What? What do you got there?
The front window. There, you see it?
Yeah, there's somebody in there. Come on, let's go. Try it again.
Yeah. Not answering.
Come on, open up in there. We know you're in there. Come on. Open the door.
What do you want?
Police officers, let us in.
There's nothing wrong. Go away.
No, we can't do that. Now, come on, open up.
Who are you going to arrest?
Nobody. We just want to talk to you.
You sure that's all?
That's right.
Okay. Just a minute. What do you want?
You Pamela Telford?
I haven't done anything wrong.
Well, we didn't say you did.
Then what are you doing around here? What are you looking for?
Is your mother in?
What?
Is your mother home?
Well, yeah, she's here.
Well, we'd like to see her if it's all right.
You can't see her.
Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to.
She's lying down, asleep. That's why you can't talk to her.
Well, what's the matter, little girl?
Nothing. Why'd you ask something like that?
Don't you think you better let us in? We're going to have to talk to your mother.
But she's asleep. She's tired. You can't talk to her. You can't.
Now, come on. You want to go and wake her up? There's some things we've got to talk to her about.
I wonder if we could come in. It's kind of wet out here. How about it?
And then you can get your mother and we can have our talk, huh?
I guess you can come in. I guess it's all right.
Come on in, Joe.
Yeah. The front room was about 12 feet square. The only light in the room came from a candle in a jelly glass on a table. The only furniture in the place was the table that held the candle and a torn artificial leather and chrome couch. The floor was covered with paper, rain-soaked cardboard boxes, and dirty clothes. At a half a dozen different places, drops of dirty water were seeping through the roof. The water was being caught in empty tin cans that had been placed around the room. To the left was a door to a bedroom. In it, in a wooden crib, were 2 children. From the descriptions we'd gotten from the Agers woman, we recognized them as Martin Telford, age 4, and his sister Carol, age 2. As soon as the children saw Irene and me, they hid their heads under the dirty blanket that covered the crib. There was nothing else in the room except a dirty mattress lying on the floor in one corner. From the appearance of the bedding, it hadn't been laundered or changed in at least 3 weeks. On the other side of the house, a small kitchen was piled high with dirty dishes, pieces of rotting food, and empty tin cans. The plumbing in the house had apparently been out of order for several weeks. While Irene and I looked over the house, the girl who'd met us at the door, Pamela Telford, followed us. When we got back to the front room, she started to cry. All right, you want to tell us where she is? Come on, Pamela. It's not as bad as all that, is it? Here's a handkerchief. Here you are. Now, where's your mother?
She's out looking for a job.
Well, it's kind of late for that, isn't it?
I don't know. That's what she's doing, though. Out looking for a job.
Well, now, why'd you tell us that she was here tonight?
Because I didn't know what you wanted. I thought you were trying to arrest her.
Well, why'd you think that?
Because that's what she said.
Your mother said that?
Yes. She told us that policemen arrested people. She told us about it. How you did it once to her.
Your mother's been arrested?
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because she was.
Well, what for, do you know?
She got sick. She got sick and they put her in jail.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I told you she was asleep. I thought that you'd go away and leave us alone.
It's sure cold in here.
Yeah.
Do you have any heat in the house, Pamela?
There's a heater in the bedroom.
Oh, I'll turn it on.
Good.
It doesn't work.
What?
The heater doesn't work. Marty was playing one day and he broke the little rods in it. It doesn't work anymore.
Well, we should be able to get some heat out of it.
No, you won't. There isn't any gas. They turned it off.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think maybe you youngsters better come downtown with us, don't you think?
Why?
Well, it'll be warm down there, a lot more comfortable for you.
We can't go. We gotta wait here.
That's all right, Pamela. We'll leave word for your mother where you are. Maybe that's your mother now, huh?
No, it's Steve.
Who are you?
He's a policeman.
What do you want? There's nothing wrong here. Nothing for you to come butting in for.
We want to see your mother, son.
She hasn't done anything. Why don't you cops leave her alone? All the time you're after her, never leave her alone.
You're kind of rough for a little guy, aren't you?
That's none of your business. I know my rights. I know I'm good.
Well, look here, son. We're going to take you downtown and give you a good meal, just until we can talk to your mother, that's all.
Then you're going to bring us back?
Well, we'll see.
How about Marty and Carol? You taking them too?
Yeah.
Going to give them something to eat?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, we'll go with you. Just for tonight, though, that's all. Just for tonight. You understand?
Yeah.
Oh, and another thing.
Yes, what's that?
We're paying our own way. I've got money. Anything you give us, we're going to pay for.
Well, you won't have to do that, son.
Well, I'm going to. We don't need charity. We're getting along all right. Everybody has a little rough luck now and then. Everybody. Mom tries. She really does. She's been looking for a job for a long time.
Uh-huh. All right, Steve, you want to help get the others ready to leave?
I'm not sure we can go.
Well, I'm afraid you're going to have to, son.
All right, but just for tonight. But the only reason is that I want Marty and Carol and Pamela to have something hot to eat. There's something wrong with the stove, so we can't cook on it. That's the only reason we're going. Just because there's something wrong with the stove.
The gas is turned off.
No, it isn't. It just don't work. But whatever we eat, whatever we get, we're going to pay for it. I've got the money.
Well, I told you once before that won't be necessary.
Well, it is, too. We're not taking any charity. We've never taken any. We're not going to start now either. Anything that's done for us is going to be paid for.
Yeah, I guess that's right, Steve.
Huh?
It'll be paid for. 8:56 p.m. Men from the crime lab arrived and photographed the entire house. The pictures were held for evidence. A search of the house showed that there was no food for the children. In a cardboard box in the bedroom under a pile of toilet articles, we found a photograph of a man and a woman taken at what appeared to be a beach photographer's. Irene and I checked through the rest of the house, but we found nothing that would indicate where the mother of the 4 Telford children had gone. The youngsters were taken to juvenile hall, bathed, given clean clothes, and fed. At first, Steve Telford refused to eat anything until he was assured that his 2 sisters and his brother were being given the same kind of food. After the boy had finished eating, Irene and I talked to him. His previous uncooperative attitude had changed, and he seemed anxious to help us find his mother.
This is the longest she's ever been gone. I'm beginning to think there might be something wrong.
Well, when did you see her last, Steve?
This is Friday, isn't it?
Yes, February 8th.
Uh-huh. It was last Tuesday, then.
You mean this week, son?
No, a week ago. A week ago Tuesday.
Well, what did she say when she left?
Just like always. She said she wasn't feeling very good and she was going out and try to look for work.
What kind of work does she do?
Well, she's a waitress. A good one, too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the trouble, I guess. She's so good.
What do you mean?
Well, there are only a couple of places that Mom says are any good. Well, you know, where she want to work.
I don't believe I understand what you mean, Steve.
Well, Mom always said that she wasn't just a hash slinger. That's what she called it.
Oh, I see.
She said that she was a waitress and she couldn't go to work just any place.
Mm-hmm. Where'd she work last?
A big place out in Beverly Hills. Forgot the name right now. But when she got the job before she went to work, Mom took us out there. We didn't go right in, but we stood in front and looked at it. Big place, real nice. You know, all kind of glass in front. And you could see the people inside having a good time. We didn't go in, but we could see it good.
How long did your mother work there?
Well, she had some trouble, and she had to quit.
What do you mean, trouble?
Well, she got sick, and the man who was her boss got mad at her. And I guess he said a lot of things that Mom didn't like. So Mom told him that he couldn't talk to her like that, and then she quit.
Your mother ever tell you what was wrong with her? Steve?
No, she didn't.
Did you see a doctor about it?
You might as well know it. You're going to find out anyway.
What's that, son?
Well, Mom drank a lot. Sometimes she'd drink too much, and then she'd get sick. That's what was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Where's your father, Steve?
He died before Carol was born. Right before.
I want you to take a look at a picture for us, will you? Look at it and tell us if you know who the man in it is.
All right.
There you are.
That's Mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know who the man is?
No. I don't think I ever saw him before.
Did your mother have any men friends?
No, I don't think so. At least she never told me about him. She always said that the kids were enough for her, that we were all that mattered. She used to say that when she got a steady job, we were all going to live good. She used to tell us how one day the phone would ring and all our troubles would be over. Just like that. One day we've had a little trouble, and the next, everything was going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she really believed it, too. Just all of a sudden, the phone was going to ring and all our troubles would be over.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to tell her.
Tell her what, son?
That they turned the phone off.
We had the name Rowena Telford checked through R&I. We found that the boy's story was true. The woman had been arrested once on a charge of 4127A LAMC, being drunk in a public place. Irene put in a call to the waitresses' union and asked them to check to see if the woman was working any place in town. They came back with the information that the last job she'd held had been 6 months before, and that she'd been fired for insubordination and for being drunk. We showed the picture of the man and woman that we'd found at the Telford home around the department in the hopes that one of the officers might recognize the place where it was taken. None of them did. The next morning, we had several copies made, and we began a search of the bars along 5th Street. We asked each bartender if he'd ever seen the man or the woman. In the first 4 places we checked, we got yes answers to the query about the woman, but none of the people we talked to could tell us anything about the man in the picture. 2 more days passed without results. In the meantime, a warrant had been issued ordering the arrest of Rowena Telford, charging her with child neglect. A local and an APB were gotten out on her. On the 3rd day after we'd started our search for the missing woman, we talked with a bartender who was able to give us the name of the man in the picture. He described the man as a fry cook in one of the smaller restaurants down on 5th Street. We checked the restaurant, but we found that he'd been fired on Monday, the 28th of January. A check of his home address gave us no indication as to where he might be. Irene and I went back to the office and checked the name through R&I.
Joe?
Yeah? Did you come up with anything?
Check the name. He's registered as an ex-convict.
Uh-huh. Where'd he fall?
Back in Pennsylvania. Did time for ADW.
Well, we better talk to him, huh?
Right now he looks awful good.
Why do you say that?
What he was arrested for.
Yeah.
He tried to beat a woman to death.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Meet Peter Lynn Hayes and Mary Healy, America's favorite husband and wife comedy team. They are typical of smokers everywhere who are saying, Chesterfields for me. Mary says,
I've smoked regular-sized Chesterfields for about 7 years. Guess that ought to prove how I feel about Chesterfield's taste and mildness.
Peter says, Chesterfields for me, too.
As far as I'm concerned, King is the only size. And like Mary says, Chesterfield is the only cigarette.
Either way you like them, I'll bet you'll find Chesterfield is best for you.
Yes, smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular and king-size Chesterfield. The best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
An immediate search was started for the man in the picture with Rowena Telford. From friends of his, we found that we might be able to locate him at a hamburger stand down at Santa Monica. Tuesday, February 12th. Policewoman Irene Gardner and I drove down to the beach.
Should be it up there, huh?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Thanks. It's warm in here.
Yeah. Yeah. You like to see Willis Thatcher?
What for?
Police officers. You're Thatcher, aren't you?
Yeah, what do you want with me?
A couple questions we'd like to ask you.
Sure, I got nothing to hide. No reason to give you any trouble. What do you want to know?
You know a woman named Rowena Telford?
Why do you ask that?
It's a simple question, Thatcher. Can you give us the right kind of an answer? How about it?
Yeah, I know her. Why? What's she done now?
When did you see her last?
I don't know, a couple of weeks ago.
Narrow that down, will you?
Why? Listen, anything she did, I had no part of.
We understand you were pretty friendly with her.
That's not true. Sure, maybe I had a couple of dates with her, not more than a couple. That's it. And anybody in the world could put up with her for more than that.
Why do you say a thing like that?
You ever know her?
No, we're looking for her.
You?
No, I've never met her.
That's how come you can ask that kind of question. And if you knew her, if you spent any time with her, you had to know what I mean.
Well, suppose you tell us.
She's a lush. A real lush. All the time boozing it up. Wasn't so bad that she got loaded, but she was real loud when she was tanked up. Real loud.
Is that right?
Sure, check around. Ask her friends. Talk to them. They'll all tell you the same story. Every one of them. First off, she'd have a couple of drinks. Next thing you know, any fellow with her be trying to get out of a place without getting his head knocked off. She was always starting trouble. Sit down, order a drink. The next thing you know, some guy was asking you outside. Well, I ain't built to go outside too often. I get hurt bad when I fight.
Mm-hmm. She have any other boyfriend?
You don't listen very good, do
What's
you?
that?
I told you, and anybody around here had much to do with it. As far as I know, there wasn't nobody who went with her.
How'd she seem the last time you saw her?
All right. She had a little hangover. She always had one of those.
Seemed depressed about anything?
Not that she talked about.
Mm-hmm. Did you say anything about leaving town?
Not to me. Listen, how about giving me a break and telling me what this is all about? What are you after Rowena for?
These fights you told us about. Do you ever have any arguments with Ms. Telford?
I don't think that's any of your business.
We're writing it down that it is. Now, how about an answer?
Well, we had a couple of beefs. I told you couldn't go around with her and not have a little trouble.
Did you ever hit her?
We're back to that, huh?
What do you mean?
You know the record, the time I did. You figure maybe I did something to Rowena, isn't that it? You think I hurt her?
We're asking you.
Well, you're way off the road. I ain't going to try to con you. Sure, maybe I had a lot of reasons to want to belt her. I used to think a lot of Rowena. Awful lot. But that's all over. All I want her to do is to leave me alone. Stay away from me. I didn't ever hit her. I didn't hurt her, no matter what you think.
All right.
You gotta believe that. I guess it sounds funny. I ain't trying to fool anybody. I'm ready to admit it. I'm a bum.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have to keep telling me, not all the time. I knew it.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to be called a bum.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you know it's true.
1:47 p.m. We drove the suspect over to his rooming house and we checked the premises. We found nothing that would definitely tie him in with the disappearance of the Telford woman. After leaving his room, we took him downtown where he was held for further investigation on the charge of suspicion of murder. We checked communications, but we found that there'd been no word on the missing woman. Her name and description had been checked through the files and Missing Persons Bureau without results. 3:40 p.m. Frank came by the office and said that the trial he was attending was dragging on and that it would be a couple more days before he'd be back on duty with me. A petition was filed on behalf of the children charging violation of Section 273 APC, unfit home, asking that they be made wards of the juvenile court. Policewoman Irene Gardner put in a call to the next-door neighbor of the Telford woman, but we'd found that there'd been no trace of the missing woman since we'd removed the children. 5:12 p.m. We finished up the log for the day and we were leaving the office. I got it. Juvenile Friday. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what's that address? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir, we'll be right there. Right, thank you.
What do you got?
Bar over on East 6th.
Yeah?
Rowena Telford just walked in. The bartender was one of those that we'd questioned when we first started our investigation. At the time, he knew the Telford woman, but he said that he hadn't seen her for several weeks. On the phone, he told me that she just walked into his bar. Irene Gardner and I left the office and drove over to the East 6th Street address, but the woman had just left. We had her description and a description of the clothes she was wearing. We put that out to all cars in the area, but she was not picked up. Irene Gardner and I went back to the office, and we put out a supplementary bulletin on the woman. At 8:14 p.m., we got a call from the woman who'd made the original complaint, Mrs. Crystal Eggers. She told us that the Telford woman had just walked into her own home. Irene and I left the office, and we drove out to the house on Vallejo Street.
Right on. She must still be home.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Police officers, we'd like to talk to you.
Just a minute.
It's about time you got here. You got them yet?
I beg your pardon?
You got the little brats? They all run off, all of them. Get my hands on them, and they're going to get what for. Where are they?
We have them downtown, Miss Telford.
Why don't you bring them home? This is where they belong. I get my hands on them. Oh, what I'm going to give that little Steve.
You mind if we come in?
No, come right ahead. You got to kind of choose the way your house looks. I've been away for a couple of days. You can see how the kids can mess the place up.
I'm Sergeant Friday. This is Miss Gardner.
Oh, how you do? Would you like to sit down?
No, that's all right.
How come you didn't bring them back?
They're being held in juvenile hall, Miss Telford.
For what?
Well, when we found them, they were suffering from malnutrition. This place here, it's not fit for youngsters.
Oh, so you just took them out and put them in a home, the way it is?
Yes, ma'am, that's the way it is.
Well, you've got your nerve. You really have.
What?
You coming in here and breaking up a home like this. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
We have a warrant for your arrest.
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, you listen to me, cop. You've got no right to come in here and break up my home. I know all about you cops. All about you pussyfooting around trying to make everybody think you're so good. I know you for what you are, and I'll tell you this.
Yes, ma'am, what's that?
You better get those kids back here fast. You hear me? You get them back here fast, because if you don't, I'm going to sue you and her and the city for every dime it's got. I'll take this to any court in the country I have to, but I'm going to get my kids back. You ain't half as good as you think you are. You want it plain, real plain, so you can understand it. You stink, that's what. All of you stink.
All right, ma'am, I think that's enough of that. Where have you been for the last 2 weeks?
It was the most terrible thing that ever happened to me. To anybody. He told me he loved me and said we was going to get married. I thought it'd be nice for the kids. That's what I thought, for the kids. And we was going to drive down to Mexico and get married. It was all nice.
Mm-hmm.
And everything was going nice. I gave Stevie a couple of dollars and told him to take care of things. And then we left and drove all the way to San Diego without stopping. And then we had some lunch on the way to get married. We had a couple of drinks just to make the food taste better, that's all. And then all of a sudden I got sick again.
And he walked out on me. Left me right there in the bar all by myself. And all the promises he made to me, all the things we was going to have. And all of it, just a lot of lies. As soon as I get a little sick, he just had a couple of drinks. He walked out on me. Left me right there, all by myself, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All by myself. I didn't have no money. No way to get back. What was I going to do? I believed him. I really thought he was going to marry me. I believed all he said, how things were going to be better. I believed it all. The dirtiest trick I ever heard of, walking out on a girl like that. A dirty trick.
I got one to beat it.
Hmm?
The one you pulled on your children.
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 4th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've tried very hard to set a Dragnet standard. Now, to put that in just a few words, we try to make each program the kind of entertainment that you want. Now, we're going to keep working real hard at that. And you know, the people who make Chesterfields feel the same way about their cigarette. To sell a product, you have to make it good and keep it good. And the latest reports from our research lab shows Chesterfield is highest in quality. Highest in quality, low in nicotine. Smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're milder, they're satisfying, they're best for me, best for you.
Rowena Esther Telford was tried and convicted of violation of Section 273A PC, endangering the life and safety of a minor, which is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail for a period of not more than 1 year. The 4 Telford children were made wards of the juvenile court and were placed in foster homes. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were June Whitley, Sammy Ogg, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters, the one filtered cigarette with plenty of good taste and a pure non-mineral filter. You get effective filtration because only the L&M filter contains the miracle product alpha cellulose, entirely pure, harmless to health. You get much more flavor, much less nicotine. It's the light and mild smoke. Yes, this is it. As Ann Sheridan puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Today, buy L&M filters.
Hear John Cameron Swayze and the news next on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. A pair of thieves has been terrorizing the merchants in your city. They're described as a man and a woman. From their actions, you know they're capable of murder. Your job, stop them. Today, you hear these 3 words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette with a proven good record with smokers. Here is the record. Bi-monthly examinations of a group of smokers show no adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfields. Chesterfields for me. The cigarette tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfields for me. Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want. The mildness you want. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, July 23rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detective Stab Brown. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the main jail, and it was 8:16 p.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery detail. Hi, Slats.
Joe? Any word from Frank?
Yeah, I talked to Skipper this morning. He said they were having a little trouble with that extradition.
Anything big?
No, I guess not. Chief Brown said the authorities back in St. Louis would get it straightened out. Frank ought to be back in the middle of next week.
Mm-hmm.
Skipper said he wants me to work with you on that liquor store thing.
Gaffney and I can use some help. We've run down just about every lead there is. They all end up in the same place.
Well, I got a little of it. You want to fill me in on the rest?
Yeah. Hot shot, I'll get it. Well, you can get it firsthand.
Yeah?
They just scored again.
Sergeant Slats Henry, Tom Gaffney, and I went downstairs to the carpool. We took out our robbery car and we rolled on the call code 3. It took us a little over 10 minutes to get to the corner of Alexandria and Burns Avenues. The place that had reported being robbed was a small neighborhood liquor store. By the time we'd gotten there, a radio car had answered the call, and a felony car from Hollywood Division had gotten there. While Gaffney talked with the men in the felony car, Slats and I went inside the store to see the victim. The uniformed officer who was with him told us that the elderly man's name was Charles Osborne. We got what information the officer had been able to get, and while he went to his unit to get out a broadcast on the suspects, Slats and I talked to Osborne.
Well, there isn't much to tell. I guess they worked it the same way they've been doing. Just the way Hart tells in the papers. The same.
Mm-hmm. There were 2 of them, were there?
Yeah, a man and a woman, 2.
Might be better if you told us just exactly what happened.
Well, just pick up any paper. It's all there. They've been doing the same thing for a couple of weeks. I don't understand it. I don't.
What's that, Mr. Osborne?
Well, these 2 just walk into any store and take what they want. You guys don't seem to be able to stop them. You go great guns after they've held up somebody, then you're great. But where are you when they're doing the robbing, huh? Where are you then? Where?
Well, if you'll just calm down here and tell us what happened, we might be able to do something about it.
Oh. Well, they come in just like always.
About what time was that?
Well, it must have been around 8. I was a little too busy to look at my watch.
Mm-hmm. You want to go ahead?
Well, there was 2 of them, man and a woman.
Yes, sir.
Man and a woman stood over there at the door. Woman walked right up here at the counter, right up, and stood there. First off, I thought she had a cold or something. Wasn't long that thought held on, though. No, sir, not long at all.
Yes, sir.
Turned out to be a mask. Handkerchief, right across here. Right here across the face. About that time, of course, I realized there was something was wrong, Anybody walks into a store with a mask on, they don't mean no good. Oh, none.
Yes, sir. Did you get a good look at the pair before they put the masks on?
No, sir, not at all. No. They had them kind of up over their mouths when they come in, kind of like they was going to cough or something. Then they took their hands away, and I could see that the handkerchief was tied right on. Tied.
Yes, sir. You want to go ahead?
Well, this woman come over to the counter and asked me for a bottle of Canadian whiskey. Just as calm as can be. I swore it right out. Now, mind, you see, all this time I thought she had a cold.
Yes, sir.
I walked over, you see, there. Yeah, that's where I keep the Canadian stuff, and got a bottle.
I see.
Got it right down, and I turned around, and there she was, just standing there with a mask on. Had it tied right around, tied.
Yes, sir. What happened then?
Well, I asked them what the big idea was. I thought that maybe they was playing a little joke, you see. They was, but it was on me. Woman told me to put the bottle in the paper bag and put the money in the bag, too. Told me to open the register and just put all the money right in the bag.
Did you see if they were armed?
No wonder you haven't caught them.
Sir?
You got a life-size picture of me giving them the money if they wasn't armed. You got that kind of idea?
No, sir. We just want to know if they had guns.
Well, of course they had guns.
Did you see them?
Well, naturally. Right out in the open? No. Wait a second. Come right down to it. I didn't actually see them. The fella, he was at the door over there. He had his hand in his pocket. She had her hand in a purse, see? Like this.
Mm-hmm.
You see?
Mm-hmm.
Like this, kind of. Come right down to it, I didn't really see them, no. Well, I'm sure they was there, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Well, what happened after the woman asked for the money?
Well, her and the fella just told me not to move for 5 minutes. Had me to keep real still. Said I wouldn't get hurt. I just took it easy. And they left the store.
They walk away from the place?
Oh, no, sir. They had a car parked right out in front. Right in front. Got into that and roared down the street. I counted to 100 by ones and then called you.
Did the uniformed officer get a description of the car?
Yes, I give it to him. Right off.
All right, Mr. Osborne, if you'd give us a description of the pair.
Well, the woman was about, maybe 5'3", around in there, weighing around 130.
Mm-hmm. How about the color of her hair?
Red, just flaming red. Had blue eyes, so I guess her hair really was that color.
What color were the eyes?
Flaming red. I told you that before.
No, sir,
yes.
not her eye. Her eyes.
Yes. Oh, her eyes. Oh, I'm all confused here. Well, her eyes were blue.
Yes, sir.
So that's how I knew that. Hair was bright red.
What was she wearing?
Oh, had on a kind of beret, green, kind of green coat, red purse, red shoes, low heel. The front was cut out.
Mm-hmm. How about the man? What did he look like?
Oh, he's a big one. He must have been around 6 feet. I couldn't tell too good because he was standing over there with the door. Oh, but he was a big one, I tell you. He weighed about 170, maybe more.
How about his coloring?
Dark hair, dark eyes. Of course, I couldn't see anything very good. Then he had that mask on.
What was he wearing?
He had a blue suit on, looked kind of like it was linen.
How about his shirt and tie?
White shirt, black tie. Shirt was a button-down collar. No hat.
Did either one of them have any marks or scars that might make it easier to identify them?
Not that I could see, no, sir.
Well, how about accents? Either of them have any kind of speech peculiarity?
No.
Exactly what did the woman say to you? Do you remember the words she used?
Well, first off, she asked for the whiskey. Said, give me a bottle of Canadian whiskey. Didn't mention any special brand.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I brought it back, she said, just put it in the paper bag and empty the register in there, too. That's what the woman said.
Did the man say anything at all?
Well, when they was leaving, he said, stay put, Pop. Stay there for 5 minutes. You won't get hurt. Those are his words, exact. I remember them.
Mm-hmm. All right, sir. We'd like you to come downtown and check some pictures for us, if you will.
Well, I guess it'll be all right. You guys should sure get on the ball, though. It's getting pretty bad.
Sir?
It seems a little silly you can't catch these people right out instead of rushing around locking the door after the horse has been stole. A little late then, seems to me.
Yes, sir. Well, they've been pretty lucky. They'll probably try the same thing again.
Yeah.
We'll try to beat it the next time. A search of the immediate area failed to turn up anything that might lead to the identity of the thieves. A broadcast had been gotten out to all cars in the city giving the description of the couple, the automobile they were driving, and the clothes they were wearing. The pair had been operating in the city for the past 3 weeks. In that time, they'd established a fairly definite method of operation. 2 days before they planned to work, they'd steal a car. Then, on the night that they started their operation, they'd pick one of the city's main arterials and start at one end of it. They'd hit 3 or 4 stores in the area in a period of half an hour. The stolen car would be parked on a side street, and the couple would make good their escape. All of the routine efforts had been made to identify them. Due to the fact that a woman was involved in the operation, the State Adult Authority for Women had been contacted for the names of recent parolees. But when these had been checked out, we netted nothing. Because of the circumstances of the M.O., we felt that the first break in the case would come through the woman. The stats office had made several runs, and the possibles had been checked out. Results, nothing. 5 minutes after we'd left the first victim, we got another call. The pair had hit again, further down on Alexandria Avenue. All right, let us through here, please. Let us through.
Please. You the cop?
Yes, sir, that's right.
I'm the fellow that was robbed. I'm him.
Slatch, you want to see if you can try to clear the front of the place?
Right.
Okay. All right, sir, if you'd like to tell us what happened here.
Terrible. Most terrible thing that ever happened to me.
Yes, sir.
I got to have a little something to calm my nerves. Gotta.
Well, can I get you anything, sir?
Don't have to, son. I got all right here. Whole store full of it. Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
A little brandy, that's what I need. Mother's sure going to think I took the little nip just to have it. Going to have to explain the whole thing to her. Imagine me being robbed.
Yes, sir. Now, if you tell us what happened here.
Yeah. Say, excuse me, you like a little of this?
No, sir.
Yeah. Well, these two came in here not more than 5 minutes ago. Man and woman. Came right in and asked for a bottle of whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Do you recall what brand?
Didn't ask for no special brand. Just said they wanted Canada whiskey. Blend.
Mm-hmm. You'd be able to give us a description of them?
Well, the woman had red hair, and that's about the only thing I do remember about her, other than the way she talked.
How do you mean, sir?
Foul mouth. The way she swore at me. Just something fierce.
What did she say?
Oh, just swear words, you know. I guess I didn't get the bottle fast enough for him. She told me to hurry up. Only she didn't say it just like that.
Where was the man during this time?
Oh, he was over here at the cash register with a gun.
Was the woman there, too?
Oh, no. No, she stayed over by the door. Seemed to be the lookout or something. She didn't come much past there.
Mm-hmm.
Right there by the potato chip rack. That's about as far as she come.
Mm-hmm. And you said they used guns. Did you get a look at them?
Oh, yeah. Big ones. I guess they must have been that long, and the barrel must have been that big round.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a gun was it, would you know?
I don't think I know what you mean.
Or was it an automatic or a revolver?
And I'm sorry, officer, but I don't understand. All I know, it was the biggest gun I ever saw. Must have been that long, that big around.
Mm-hmm. Did it look like this one?
Oh, no. No, that's just a pea shooter compared to the one that fellow was waving around.
Mm-hmm. Did you see a car when they left?
Yes, I did. Right out in front was. Parked in front of the sign. Hey, you see there where it says reserved for patrons?
Yes, sir.
Right there. That's where the car was. After the fellow told me to dump the cash into the paper bag with the bottle, the woman opened the door, and both of them ran out and jumped into the car. Roared off down the street. But I got a good look at it. Real good.
Mm-hmm. Then you can give us a description of it?
You bet I can. Dark, 1953 Ford sedan. 4-door. Had one of them sun things on the front. You know, like a shade.
Yes, sir.
Used to have them on the buggies when I was a young man. Guess if you wait long enough, they get back to everything.
Yes, sir. How much money did they get away with, sir?
Oh, guess it must have been around $225. Round in there someplace. Give a couple, take a couple.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you'd know either one of these people if you ever saw them again?
No. You just bet I would. Even with those masks on, I'd be able to pick them right out of a crowd. You just stand them up in front of me and I'll point them out. I'll never forget that gun. Biggest gun I ever saw. Must have been that long and that big around. That one you got there is a real pea shooter.
Mm-hmm.
How's it look, Joe?
Yeah, it's the same couple. Description fits perfectly.
I checked around the people in the crowd, found one old guy who says he saw the pair come out of the store. Got a good description of the car.
I already gave him one. I can tell you anything you want to know.
Yes, sir, we appreciate that, but we do want to talk to everybody who knows anything about the holdup.
All right. You go ahead and talk to the other fella. You go right ahead. Yeah, but I got something he can't give you.
What's that, sir?
License number of the car they drove.
An immediate supplementary broadcast was gotten out to the cars in the area with special attention to the units covering Alexandria Avenue. The search for the pair of thieves went on, but as the hours passed and they failed to hit again, it became apparent that they had eluded us again. The next morning, the car was found abandoned on the east side of Los Angeles. It was a stolen vehicle, and after it had been checked with the crime lab for latent prints, we were no further toward apprehending the suspects. Conferences were held with the chief of detectives, Thad Brown, and it was decided to place an extensive stakeout on the liquor stores in the Hollywood area. From past performances, the pair seemed to work their operation in that general area more than the other parts of town. The stakeout was maintained for 3 days without results. On Tuesday night, July 29th, Sergeant Henry and I waited in the squad room for reports from the other officers out in the field. 1:15 a.m.
Well, looks like another night shot.
Yeah, still no action. Stores will be closing in about 45 minutes now.
Yeah. You get a cigarette? I'm out.
Yeah. I think there's a couple left in here. Yeah, just 2. Here, go ahead.
I'll go down the hall and get a couple of packs later.
That's all right. Here.
Heard from Frank?
No, I talked to Fay night before last. She got a letter from him. Said he thought he'd be back about the end of the week.
Say how it's going?
No, he just read me a couple parts of the letter. I guess it's all straightened out. Suspect's coming back on his own.
Extraditions can sure be a pain. I had to go back to New Orleans on one last year. Had a miserable time. Guy gave us a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I remember. I get it. Now, let's go. They just hit again.
In the stakeout area?
No, out in Highland Park. They're way out on this one.
What do you mean?
Well, the victim decided to give him a little trouble.
Yeah?
The male suspect broke off the bottom of a whiskey bottle and worked the victim over.
Mm-hmm.
Almost killed him.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Chesterfield's for me. You hear it everywhere. A brand new survey of campus cigarette dealers at 274 leading colleges and universities shows Chesterfield the largest seller. Nobody knows it better than America's #1 band leader, Ray Anthony, who plays college dates coast to coast. Here is Ray with his attractive wife, Dee.
In cigarettes, the young crowd really goes for Chesterfields. I've noticed that wherever we've played. And I guess it's one of the reasons Chesterfield is America's most popular two-way cigarette. Of course, Dee and I are Chesterfield smokers, too. We know they're best for us.
Chesterfield's for me. You hear it everywhere. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
At 1:13 a.m., the pair of thieves had entered a small all-night grocery store in the Highland Park area. They'd gone through the usual part of their M.O., asking for the bottle of Canadian whiskey and then the money. However, when they asked the victim to turn over the money to them, he had told them to get out of the store. The male member of the team had grabbed the bottle, hit it against the counter, breaking off the bottom, and then struck the victim several times about the head and shoulders. When we'd gotten the call, the man had been removed to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, where he was in a critical condition. An immediate search of the area had failed to turn up anything that might lead us to the apprehension of the man and woman. A citywide broadcast was gotten out on the pair, and arrangements were made for their description to be broadcast on the police television program. Newspapers carried the stories and joined with us in asking for full cooperation from the public. For the next 3 days, we received several calls with information on the suspects, but when all of these were checked and sifted, we were right back where we started. The stakeouts were maintained on the liquor stores, but the suspects failed to hit again. On Monday, August 4th, we got a call from the county hospital telling us that the latest victim was in condition to be interviewed. Slats Henry and I drove over to see him. He was unable to tell us anything more than the dozen victims before him had told us. 3:15 p.m. We went back to the office.
Want to check the book?
Yeah, I'll get it. Yeah, there's a message here that a Reese McKay called. He left a number.
Say what he wanted?
No, just wants us to call. This table, we got to put something under this leg. It sure wobbles, doesn't it?
Been that way for years.
Yeah. I'd like to speak to Mr. Reese McKay, please. My name's Friday, Los Angeles Police Department. No, Police Department. Yes, surely. It's the attorney's office. Yes, sir? Mm-hmm. This is Sergeant Friday. Yes, sir. Certainly. When was this? Mm-hmm. All right, sir. No, we'll be right over. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Oh, might be something.
What'd he say?
Woman was in his office this afternoon.
Yeah?
Said something about being involved in a robbery. Sergeant Henry and I signed out of the office and drove over to the address the lawyer had given me on the phone. We waited in the reception room for a few minutes, and then his secretary ushered us into Mr. McKay's office.
Come in, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Reese McKay.
Yes, sir. This is Sergeant Henry. My name's Friday.
Oh, yes, you're the gentleman I talked to on the phone.
That's right.
Well, sit down, and I'll try and tell you what happened.
All right. Thank you very much.
You've got to realize my problem in this thing.
Yes, sir. What's that?
Well, if this isn't anything worthwhile, I certainly don't want to have a client embarrassed. You can understand that.
Yes, sir.
I suppose I just tell you what happened, and we can go on from there.
All right. That'll be fine.
A couple of days ago, I got a call from a young woman who said she wanted me to handle a divorce for her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we set up an appointment for her this afternoon. She came in, and we went over the problem. I don't want to go into the detail of the divorce action. I don't think that'll have any bearing on the rest of it.
All right, sir.
Well, to get to the short of it, we were going over the necessary information. The door burst open, and this man came in.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know what it was all about. My secretary was right behind him, seeing that he just pushed his way right through the reception room.
Well, who was he, do you know?
Well, he said he was the woman's husband.
That true?
Well, apparently, I told my secretary to wait outside, then I asked him what he wanted. He didn't pay any attention to me at first, said it wasn't any of my concern, told me to keep my nose out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then he and the woman had a big discussion.
Seems that he didn't want her to divorce him, made all sorts of promises how things would be different if she came back to him.
Mm-hmm.
First, she seemed to go along with the idea. As you know, we like to effect a reconciliation wherever possible. So I told them to go ahead and talk it over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I left them in the office and went out of the reception room, and for a while it seemed they were getting along all right. Then the shouting died down, and they seemed to have agreed. All of a sudden, it broke loose again. They started to scream at each other, and I went right back in the office, and just as I opened the door, I heard the man tell her that if she didn't come back, he'd cause her a lot of trouble. He said for her to remember that she was mixed up in the holdups, too, and these were the exact words. Don't forget, you're mixed up in those stick-ups as deep as me.
I see.
When they saw me, they both quieted down, and a couple of minutes later, they both left the office. The woman said she'd get in touch with me about the bill.
It's certainly something that should be looked into.
Yes, that's what I thought. That's the reason I called you.
Can you give us the name and address of the couple?
Yes, sir. I have it right here.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Pretty difficult to imagine that she'd be involved in anything like that. Pretty woman, beautiful hair.
Is that right?
Yes, flaming red.
We obtained the address the woman had given Reese McKay, and we checked her name through R&I. We found no criminal record on anyone answering her description. While Slats called Chief Brown and told him what had happened, I asked the record division to make a run on the husband. We found that he'd been arrested 3 years before for attempted armed robbery, but that he'd been released for lack of evidence. 5:40 p.m. Slats and I drove over to the woman's address. The name on the mailbox in the apartment lobby read Mr. and Mrs. George Winston. We rang the bell and we identified ourselves.
You want to come in?
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else here, ma'am?
You mean in the apartment?
Yes.
No, I'm alone.
Where's that door lead, ma'am?
Bedroom.
You mind if we take a look?
Maybe you better tell me what this is all about first, huh?
You better go ahead, Slam.
Yeah.
Suppose you're used to hearing that you've got a lot of nerve.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's true. What's this all about? Isn't there some law that says you've got to make a complaint or something?
Where's your husband?
That bum.
Where is he?
I don't know, and I don't care if I never see him again. Nothing but trouble did I ever get from him. Miserable man.
Mm-hmm. You haven't any idea where he is?
No. Don't think I'd tell you if I did until you let me know what this is all about.
What's your husband do for a living, ma'am?
You guys are so interested in him, why don't you ask him yourselves?
Place is clean, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that going in. What's this all about? Now, come on, tell me or get out.
We understand you and your husband had an argument this morning. Two of you mentioned something about a robbery.
Oh, I understand it all now. Now it's all real plain. Look, what George said was a joke. That's all just a joke. He didn't mean anything by it.
The way we got the story sounded pretty straight.
You got it a little mixed up.
Well, maybe you better come downtown and tell us all about it, huh?
What for?
Well, we've got some people down there we'd like you to meet.
I got enough friends.
Well, then let's put it down. These people would like to meet you. Do you want to get your coat?
I think there's supposed to be something like a charge, isn't there?
Yes, ma'am. That's the way you want it.
I do.
All right. Suspicion of robbery.
What makes you think you can make it stick?
Well, we wouldn't be taking you in if we didn't figure we had a case.
You'd save all of us a lot of trouble if you'd tell us where we can pick up your husband.
What's in it for me?
What do you got now?
Nothing.
Well, that's the best we can do.
What makes you think you can hold up this kind of a charge?
A dozen victims, for one thing. Slats, you want to check the closet, see if you can find the green coat and the red shoes and purse?
Yeah.
What happens if I've got a green coat?
Well, it makes us look pretty good, doesn't it?
A lot of girls got green coats.
Yeah, we're looking for one.
She's supposed to look like me?
Description we got matches exactly.
A lot of people in the world look like me. Same people who have green coats.
Mm-hmm.
Got 'em, Joe. Found 'em up on the shelf in the closet. Take a look. They match what we heard.
Yeah, would you like to try this coat on, Miss Winston? Then we can get going.
Okay, but you guys are sure going to find out that you're wrong.
Is that right?
You just bet, and it's going to cost the city a lot of money because I'm really going to make a big thing out of this.
Well, if we're wrong, we'll admit it.
Then you admit you could be making a mistake.
No, we don't.
I read in the papers where there was an old guy beat up in a robbery. Same ones you're after me for?
Might be, yeah.
How's he doing, the old guy?
Well, we're not sure yet.
He's going to live, though, isn't he?
I told you, Miss Winston, we're not sure.
You got a cigarette?
Yes, ma'am, here.
Here.
I want you to tell me something. Tell me true.
What's that?
You really think you can put me in those stores?
Yes, we do.
I can't make a deal, huh? I'll tell you things and have it go any easier?
No, ma'am. All we can do is see that it's marked down that way.
Best I can get?
That's the best.
I'll take it.
What?
I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you the whole thing.
All right, go ahead.
Well, you got the right people, me and George. I knew when he hit that old man we'd had it. Knew it right away. That's why we quit. I was afraid. If the guy died, you'd be able to get us for murder. I didn't like the robbery part, but I didn't want any part of a killing. I never did like the setup. Never. I used to tell George I didn't like it.
That didn't make any difference to him. He wanted to be the big man. He used to sit here after hitting the places. George would get the morning papers and sit here and laugh at the cops because he had them running after themselves.
You know where he is?
Yeah. He's in a hotel down on West 7th, using the name Evanston. I'll give you the address.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Oh, George. He's going to be real surprised when you walk in on him. Real surprised. Sure wish I could see the expression on his face when he finds out what happened. Sure like to see it.
Well, that makes you even, doesn't it?
Huh?
He'll want to see yours.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 17th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we've told you that Chesterfield is the best cigarette for you to smoke. Now, to me, Chesterfield's record with people who do smoke them regularly backs up that statement. Chesterfields are best because they're highest in quality, low in nicotine, because they smoke mild, and they're really satisfying. I wish you'd give them a try and see for yourself. America's most popular two-way cigarette. Regular or king-size Chesterfield. Best for me, best for you.
Geraldine Ruth Winston and George Roland Winston were tried and convicted of robbery in the first degree, 5 counts. They received sentence as prescribed by law. Robbery in the first degree is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not less than 5 years in the state penitentiary. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Vic Perrin, Herb Ellis, Vic Rodman. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters. The one filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste. Much more flavor, much less nicotine, and effective filtration. Only the L&M filter contains the miracle product alpha cellulose. Absolutely pure, non-mineral, harmless to health. Yes, this is it. As Barbara Stanwyck puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Buy L&M filters, the light and mild smoke.
Hear Rocky Fortune following John Cameron Swayze in the news on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to Bunko Fugitive Detail. A confidence man has set up operations in your city. The product he's selling has a ready market. Perfect cut blue-white diamonds. Your job? Stop him. Today, you hear these 3 words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield's for me. The cigarette with a proven good record with smokers. And first cigarette to have such a record. Chesterfield's for me. Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want. The mildness you want. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, November 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunko Fugitive Detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the record division, and it was 11:40 a.m. when I got to room 38. Bunko Detail.
Did it check out?
Yeah, there's 3 possibles. Descriptions don't match too well. We'll have to check them all out, I guess.
Uh-huh. The better was just in, said he'd give us a hand.
That's good. Should we get on it?
Yeah.
Any calls?
No, let's go.
I got it. Bunko Fugitive, Friday. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm not sure. No, the officer that handled the case isn't here right now. What if I could take a message? Yes, ma'am. He'll call you when he gets in. All right, uh-huh. Yes, all right. If you'll wait just a minute, I'll transfer it just a minute. Hold on, please. Would you give this call to 2949, please? Thank you.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
This the fraud department?
Was Bunko Fugitive? Yes, sir.
Then I guess this is what I want. I'd like to report a swindle.
All right, sir.
I'll check with the better, Joe. You can go to work on this list.
Right. I'll be right back. Okay. You want to come in, sir? Sit down right here if you like.
Okay. Well, where'd be the best place to start?
Would you like to give us your name, sir?
It's Harold Filson. That's with an F. F-I-L-S-O-N, Filson.
Yes, sir.
What I want to tell you about happened to a friend of mine.
All right.
He's a little too embarrassed to come in himself, so I said I'd tell you about it. It's a terrible thing. Should be stopped.
All right, sir. We'll do what we can. You want to tell us what it's all about?
Well, this friend of mine was in the bank one day. He'd gone in to make a withdrawal, $200.
I see.
On the way out of the place, this kind of seedy-looking man came up to my friend and started to talk.
Did your friend know the man?
Never saw him before in his life.
All right, sir. Go ahead.
Well, this little guy said he had a business proposition to put to my friend. Said they could both make a lot of money out of it.
Mm-hmm.
The little guy suggested that they both have to walk down the street to a little coffee stand that's there and have a cup of coffee. My friend didn't see anything wrong with that, so they did. That's where the little guy told the story.
What was that, sir?
Oh, about how he was a DP, a displaced person.
Mm-hmm.
Said he'd come over from Belgium. Big story about how he just managed to get out of Germany with his life. Really laid it on thick, real thick.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he pulled the snapper. Said that he got into the country illegally, that he didn't have any papers, and that's why he came to my friend.
I see. Go ahead.
And see, this little guy reached into his pocket, took out a couple of pieces of folded paper. He undid them, and there were 4 diamonds. Most beautiful thing you ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
Fellow went on to say that since he was in the country without a passport, he couldn't take the chance of trying to sell the diamonds, said he might be picked up. So he wanted to sell the stones to my friend. Said he wouldn't have any trouble getting rid of them.
Well, how much did he want for them, do you know?
Yeah. Said he'd sell a lot for $13,000.
It's quite a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when this friend of mine doesn't know anything about diamonds.
All right, sir. You want to go ahead?
Well, the little guy said my friend could take the stones to any jeweler and have them appraised. Said he'd go along with whatever the jeweler said.
And that's what your friend did, then?
Yeah. Went to one of the best jewelry stores in the city. Took the stones with him and had the jeweler look at them.
Now, this little man, did he go into the store with your friend?
No, he said he'd wait outside.
Uh-huh.
The jeweler looked at the stones and said they were worth $15,000. That's wholesale. $15,000.
So your friend bought the diamonds, did he?
Yes. He offered the owner $10,000 cash for them. The little guy wouldn't go for the deal, so he took the diamonds back. They hemmed and hawed around for a couple of minutes, and then he said he'd sell. So both of them went to my friend's bank, got the money, and the deal was set. The little man reached into his pocket, took out the package, handed over the diamonds for the $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Then my friend tried to sell them. He went back to the same jeweler. And that's when he found out.
Yeah?
They weren't the same stones. My friend had gotten a different packet. Instead of diamonds, he bought 4 zircons, worth $25, $30 apiece. $10,000 for $120 worth of cut glass. And you've got to do something about it. You've got to figure some way to get that money back.
All right. You want to give us a description of the man who sold you the phony?
How'd you know?
Well, you aren't the only one who's been taken by this racket. There have been several cases the last few months.
That's all the more reason you ought to get him. $10,000, that's what he took me for. That's real easy money.
Well, the only difference is the amount, isn't it?
What do you mean?
You tried to take 5 the same way. Frank came back to the office, and I filled him in on the story Harold Filson had given me. The victim gave us a complete statement and a description of the man who'd victimized him. He also gave us the address of the bank where he'd been approached. After that, Filson was taken down to the mudroom and shown photographs of known confidence men who had used the same M.O. A local and an APB were gotten out, carrying the description of the suspect as well as a complete description of the clothes he wore and the method he used in approaching the intended victim. We got the name of the jeweler who had appraised the diamonds, and we asked the victim if we could keep the stones until we'd finished our investigation. He gave us his consent, and we signed a receipt for the zircons. 1:46 p.m., Frank and I drove out to the Hollywood area where we talked to Saul Maurice, the owner of the jewelry store.
If you'll wait, I'll get my loot and check them for you.
We'd appreciate that.
No trouble. Probably should have known there was something wrong when I came in here. The average man doesn't carry $15,000 in unset diamonds around with him. Let me see the stones.
Sure, here you are. Take a look at these, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Well, the same ones, same as diamonds.
What can you tell us about them?
Well, they look as if they were cut in this country.
Yeah? Why do you say that?
Facets, they're cut longer than European stones.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Now, they were made in America.
Is there any way we could tell where?
No. Whoever did it, though, knew what he was doing. I remember the diamonds. Beautiful.
You mean the real diamonds were just like these, then, huh?
Yes, there was a 125 round, 2 1-carat marquee, and a 403 square cut.
You sure about the size, are you?
Reasonably, yes. I didn't weigh them at the time, but I did use a mo gauge on them. That's what they checked out.
You can't give us any idea, then, where the zircons might have come from?
No, I'm sorry. I can give you a list of the men in Los Angeles who might have done it.
We'd appreciate it.
No trouble at all. You want to take these with you?
Yes, sir.
Say, I don't understand. Why would a legitimate diamond cutter make these imitations?
Well, if a person ordered them copied, there'd be no reason not to. Quite often, people don't like to wear genuine stones. Occasions when good imitations do just as well. That's what probably happened here.
Uh-huh.
Whoever it was probably ordered a melange lot. I went ahead with it.
Well, now the stones he brought in the first time were real, weren't they?
Yes, fine, high color, beautifully cut. Especially the square. I'll get those names for you.
Thank you.
Say, I wonder if you'd tell me something.
Well, what's that?
Well, my wife's been looking for something to clean her engagement ring. You know, it gets dirty down the little prongs that hold the diamond. I wonder if you could recommend something to clean it.
I'll tell you what, next time you're in the area, bring the ring in. I'll be glad to clean it for you.
Now, the problem there is she doesn't want to take it off, I guess. I don't think she'd go for me taking it all day.
Well, I'll tell her to take it into the jeweler in the neighborhood. He'll be glad to do it.
Thanks, sure appreciate it.
No trouble at all. Now, here's the list.
Thank you.
Sure hope you can find the man who sold the phonies.
Yes, sir, so do we.
Every time somebody gets stung buying diamonds, it makes them leery from then on. Hard on the legitimate people in the business.
Yes, sir, we can understand that.
Jewelers Alliance has been saying it for a long time. Know your jeweler and you'll get value received. A guy like this makes it twice as rough on honest men.
Well, that's the way it is most of the time.
Always seems like the honest ones get hurt.
Well, maybe not always.
What?
We hope it's going to work the other way this time. 3:15 p.m. Frank and I returned to the office and got out a supplemental bulletin on the genuine diamonds that were being used. We checked with Captain Didion, and he assigned 2 more officers to help us in checking out the list of diamond cutters in the area. The questioning took the better part of the next day, and at 4:37 p.m., when we met in the bunco squad room, we were no further ahead with the apprehension of the suspect. During the week that followed, we continued to talk to the lapidaries in the Southland area, but they were unable to give us any leads as to who might have made the copies. On Monday, November 22nd, we received another complaint. An elderly woman who identified herself as Mrs. Myra Hacken told us that she'd been swindled out of $12,000. The story she gave us was almost identical with the one we'd gotten from Harold Filson. The description of the suspect was the same. Frank and I talked to the jeweler that had made the appraisal on the stones for her. He was unable to give us any concrete information. However, the zircons purchased by Mrs. Hacken were identical with those bought by the first victim, Filson. 2 more weeks passed, and in that time, the confidence man hit 2 more citizens. The method of approach was the same. The story he gave the victims was the same. Nothing in the story was new. The search for him went on. On Wednesday, December 1st, Captain Didion called a meeting in his office.
Come in. Sit down.
Right.
Thanks. Now, what's it about, Skipper?
You know what it is. Where are you on it? Oh, the diamond switch, huh? That's it.
Going slow, Captain.
Well, what's the score to date? About $45,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know closer to the guy than when he started.
Well, we got a description.
We can't book that.
We're doing everything we can, Captain. We talked to all the victims, all the people in town who might know who he is. There isn't a rumble.
He must be playing it single. None of the usual sources know anything.
How about the money? Anybody spending more than they can account for?
No, not that we've been able to turn.
Stats office?
Well, they've given us a list of possibles, 14 of them. They've all been checked out, none of them fit.
What about the Jewelers Association? What do they got for you?
Well, they're doing all they can. They put out a notice to all their members to be on the lookout for the guy. Sent out a description to all the diamond cutters asking for information on the stones.
Mm-hmm. We've had a composite drawing made of the suspect. M.O. sheet. It's been sent to all the banks in the area. Nothing back on it, though.
Well, what's the answer? Got to be some way of nailing him.
Well, we got an idea. The odds are on the long side, I guess, but it's about the only way that we can think of.
Let's hear it.
Well, we know that the guys work in the Hollywood area pretty heavy. Seems that most of the marks he picks are out there. They do business in those banks along the boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that if we could spot a couple of undercover people in the banks and make it look like they were doing business there, they might be approached.
You meant it when you said the odds were long. How many people do you figure you're going to need for this?
Well, we figure a minimum of a half a dozen. They all should be middle-aged or elderly. Suspect doesn't seem to bother anybody under 40.
How about keeping in touch with the undercover people? How do you figure to work that?
Well, we thought we could cruise the area, work out some kind of a check system so we'd know what was going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll get in touch with Chief Brown. Ask him to line up some officers that'll work the banks. You better get in touch with Hollywood. Fill them in on what you're doing. Might ask for a couple of F-cars to give you a hand in the surveillance.
Right, Skipper.
We'll get together here in the morning. You can brief them on what you want, how you're going to work it out.
Okay.
Better notify the banks, too. Give them the setup so there won't be any slip.
All right.
Excuse me. Bunko fugitive, Captain Didion. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll send him right up. That's right. Do what you can. Here's one to move on. Bank on Hollywood Boulevard. Head cashier says there's been a man loitering in the place for the last 30 minutes.
Yeah?
Matches the description of your suspect right down the line.
The man had been detained until we got there. We were told that the suspect had entered the bank at approximately 11:40 a.m. and that he'd been observed by the bank guard. When the man's movements had aroused the guard's suspicions, he'd notified the cashier, and he in turn had called us when he noticed the similarity between the suspect and our bulletin. We asked the suspect to step out to our car so we could question him. He appeared to have been drinking, but he was cooperative. He got into the back seat with Frank, and we asked him to show us his wallet.
Hey, my wallet.
Is there any money in it?
Well, I don't know if that's any of your business.
You got any money in the wallet?
Well, it might be a couple of bucks, yes. Then again, on the other side of the fence, there might not.
All right, mister, take the money out and hand the wallet to me.
Ain't none. I'm broke.
All right, let's have it.
Sure, I like to cooperate. Always like to cooperate.
All right. Is your true name Samuel Gerald Pugh?
That is correct.
Ever been arrested?
That, gentleman, is my life story.
Is that right?
It certainly is. Many's the happy hour I've spent in your main jail. Delightful place. Referred to in the trade as the Gray Bar Hotel, you know.
Yeah, what was the charge?
I believe that's referred to in the trade as a 4127 ALAMC.
Drunk, huh?
Oh, now, if you don't mind, officer, rather you wouldn't put it just that way. It sounds so completely undignified. Completely.
What were you doing in that bank?
Then I spent a short vacation with the sheriff out in Castaic. Ah, that was a charming resort.
Look, what were you doing in the bank?
Then I spent a short vacation with the sheriff out in Castaic. Ah, that's a charming
Why
resort.
were you in the bank?
I've also enjoyed the hospitality of the authorities in San Francisco, Oakland, and in Beaumont,
now, you look, mister,
Texas.
we're not playing a game with you here. You come up with some straight answers and come up with them fast.
Sir?
Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to the best of my ability to answer your questions in the order that you present them. Now, I'm still working on the initial one, you understand? Would you like to know why I spent so much time...
Look, you know what we want to know. We want to know why you're in that bank.
Very well, then I shall tell you. I have spent all of this time in gathering material for a treatise on the penal colonies in
All right,
America.
Frank, let's go.
Yeah. Come on, mister. Get on your feet.
Oh, here now, listen, I resent this treatment, and furthermore, I intend to expose your methods in my forthcoming note.
Yeah.
Yes. Realize, officer, that I've given you fair warning. You going to book me again?
That's right.
Drunk?
We'll figure that when we get you downtown.
Well, that's all you've got. I didn't really do it. You can't book a man that just thinks about it.
Is that right?
I didn't really do it. I was just thinking about it.
What are you talking about?
What I was doing in the bank. I'm broke and I'm hungry. I just got into town this morning. I arrived amid the sunshine of glorious California. Broke and hungry. So I ambled around a bit and went into the bank. I thought maybe I'd write a little check.
Just enough to tide me over till I decide to accept one of the many offers that have been offered me.
You got any money in the bank?
Oh, that's a trivial detail. However, inasmuch as you gentlemen are willing to accord me the hospitality of the Gray Bar Hotel, I shall accept with alacrity.
Well, that's nice.
I am gratified that you appreciate my position.
You got any way of proving you just got in town?
Is that necessary?
Might be for you.
I shall have no trouble in supplying such gratification.
Yeah?
I have been enjoying the hospitality of the largest state for the past 3 months. I severed my connection with them 2 days ago.
Is that right?
It certainly is. I, officer, have been in jail for the past 3 months.
Yeah?
In Beaumont, Texas.
The suspect was taken to the city hall and held for further investigation. Teletypes were sent to the authorities in Texas, and they verified the story that we'd gotten. The suspect was booked in violation of 4127A LAMC. The following morning, Frank and I, along with Captain Didion, briefed the police officers chosen by Chief Brown. We told them the suspect's M.O. We gave each of them copies of the composite drawing that had been made. At 10:30 that morning, the plan was put into operation. It continued through the weekend without results. During that time, we received no new complaints regarding the confidence man. Wednesday, December 8th, Frank and I checked into the office.
I want to call Faye. Tell her what time I'll be home.
Okay. You want to check the book while you're there?
Yeah.
I got it. Bunko Fugitive, Friday. Yeah. Okay, where? Yeah, we know where that is. Right. See you there. Guess you'll have to call Faye later.
What do you mean?
Suspect.
Yeah?
He's setting up a mark in a coffee shop out on Hollywood Boulevard right now.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Meet the Tom Harmons. You know Tom is an All-American, and now a top sports announcer. Mrs. Harmon is the motion picture and television star Elise Knox. They're typical of people everywhere who are saying, Chesterfields for me.
I like regular-sized Chesterfields. Have for years. They're best for me, at least I think so, because of that Chesterfield quality.
That's the way I feel about them, too. I've always smoked Chesterfields. Now I go for the king size. Guess I like a longer smoke.
So whether you smoke regular size like Elise Knox or king size like Tom Harmon, enjoy America's most popular two-way cigarette. Chesterfields for me. You hear it everywhere. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you.
The call had come from one of the undercover people that we'd planted in the banks on Hollywood Boulevard. The policewoman told me that a man answering the description had approached her and offered to sell her some unset diamonds. The suspect suggested that they have a cup of coffee while he explained the deal to the victim. After they'd reached the coffee shop, the policewoman excused herself and put in the call to us. It took us 18 minutes to drive to Hollywood and Vine Streets and to get to the coffee shop. When we entered the place, we could see the policewoman at one of the rear tables. Frank and I walked back and sat down in the adjoining booth. They'd evidently been talking for several minutes before we got there.
You can understand my position. I don't want to have to let them go, but I have no choice.
I'm still not sure why you don't sell them yourself.
There is some trouble about my passport. The authorities are checking it over. If I try to dispose of the diamonds in the usual channels, there are bound to be questions I can't answer.
I'm not sure I want to be mixed up in a thing like this. I've never had any trouble with the law. My husband would be pretty angry if he knew about this.
But there will be no trouble. None. The reason I decided to even bother you with this is that I have seen you several times in the bank. You look to me like a person who would understand and want to help.
Oh, that's very kind.
It is you who are being kind. To even let me talk to you. I wish I could tell you how much it means to me to be able to walk up to just anyone on the street and talk. To know that there is nothing to be afraid of. This business about the passport is annoying, but it will all be straightened out. After that, everything will be all right.
Well, can't you wait until then to sell the diamonds?
I'm afraid not. I have bills. I must pay my attorney, my family. They must be taken care of. I need the money now.
I'm still not sure.
Kind lady, let me show you the gems. Just let me show them to you and then decide.
Hasn't? Coffee, please.
Yeah, coffee. 2 coffees right away.
There. Just look at them.
Have you ever seen anything so beautiful in your life?
They are nice.
These are all we were able to get out of the country. Weeks before we left, we sold everything we owned to buy them. You know, in Europe, diamonds are about the only thing that has a set value. If I were to tell you the trouble we had in getting them, but that would take too long, and I have already taken too much of your time.
Not at all. How much are you asking for them?
On the market, they are worth in American dollars at least $10,000.
Oh, I could never pay that much for them.
But you would not have to.
I don't understand.
It is simple. You take them to any jeweler in the city, anyone at all. You pick him out. Take the diamonds to him, ask him what they are worth. Then come back to me and we can make the transaction. You see what he will offer you for them. You will see that what I have said is the truth. You can buy them from me. I will get the money I need. Then you can sell them to the same jeweler and make a handsome profit. Go ahead, take them. I will wait for you here.
You trust me with them?
Certainly. I knew when I saw you in the bank I could depend on you. I trust you with my life savings.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Something I can do for you, gentlemen?
Police officers, you're under arrest.
On what charge?
Grand theft.
You must be joking.
Afraid not. Let's go.
You get everything you needed, Sergeant Friday?
Yeah, thanks, Margaret.
You are in with them?
I'm a police officer, too.
How you going to know?
I'll take the diamonds. Want to give us the zircons, too?
Yeah. Here you are. A lousy deal. You're going to have to prove it, you know.
We'll take care of that.
How you going to do it?
Well, it shouldn't be too tough. Have the victims take a look at you. They should give us a positive identification, shouldn't they?
Yeah, I guess so.
Where'd you get the stones?
Picked them up in New York. They're real. Worth easy $13,000, maybe $14,000.
How about the imitations?
What about?
Well, where'd you get them?
Friend of mine, guy back east. His hobby is life, you know.
Lapidary?
Yeah, that's it. I had him cut the zircons for me.
Do you know why you wanted them?
No, I told him it was for a joke, asking to make me 6 sets. All of them like the real ones. Only had this one and one more to get rid of. Just 2 more, and you have to tag me. Yeah, rough go.
You need me for anything more, Sergeant?
No, thanks, Margaret. We'll take him in.
I'll go on, then.
Right, thanks again.
Glad to help.
Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah, see you downtown.
Right. Tell Chief Brown we'll be in to see him, will you?
Okay.
All right, mister, let's go.
Mind if I finish my coffee?
All right, make it fast.
Okay, thanks.
What's your name?
Nathan Croner.
You ever fallen before?
Couple of times, small beefs.
Where?
Midwest, Colorado, Kansas.
Big time?
Burglary. Served 3 years in Colorado, 2 in Kansas. Thought you had it figured this time. Sure way to make it pay. Never know, do you?
What's that?
How it's going to turn out. Take this Dodge, for instance.
Yeah.
Hey, you got a cigarette?
Yeah, here you go. Here.
Thanks. I got a match. Yeah, this would never work if you tried it with honest people.
Is that right?
Sure. Right off, I told him I was having trouble with my passport. Even told one of them I was in the country illegally. That's when he should have gone to the cops right then.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna miss that.
What's that?
The coffee. Gonna miss it. Anyway, if every one of them didn't have a little thievery in them, isn't a con game in the world it'd work. You ever think of that?
Yeah, once in a while.
I hand over a bunch of diamonds. Now, I know they're worth a minimum of $15,000. Worth that anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? The mark takes them into a jeweler and finds out they're worth that much, and right away he's out to try to make a fast buck for himself. He comes back, tells me they're only good for $10,000. You see? Thieves.
Mm-hmm. You about finished with that coffee?
Yeah. Now, the mark stands to make himself a couple of $1,000 going in, but that isn't enough. He's going to take me for more. It wouldn't work if they weren't thieves at heart.
Well, that still doesn't give you the right to take them.
I suppose not. I get a real kick, though, out of figuring what they look like when they find out they're stuck with a handful of cut glass. Must be real yaks to see that luck.
Now, how about that coffee? Come on, let's go.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
All right. You pull this Dodge anyplace else in the country?
Not me. It was the first place. Figured if I scored good here, I could take it easy. You know, work a bit, maybe once a year in a different city. Keep moving. Don't make any difference how they talk or what kind of clothes they wear. A mark's still a mark. I just had a bad deal. Going good, I could have lived off of it for years.
That's what you wanted, huh?
Yeah, just a deal to keep me in clothes and food. Roof over my head, nothing big.
Well, it all worked out then, didn't it?
What?
That's what you're going to get. Come on.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 15th, trial was held in Department 98, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. You know, the Chesterfield you smoked today is the best cigarette ever made, and best for you. Now, that's a fact. And to my way of thinking, it's the very reason for you to change to Chesterfield. Try 'em either way, regular or king size. If you try 'em, I think you'll say with all of us, Chesterfield's for me.
Nathan Austin Kroner was tried and found guilty on 4 counts of grand theft and received punishment as prescribed by law. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment for a period of not more than 1 year in the county jail, or for a period of not less than 1 nor more than 10 years in the state penitentiary.
Ladies and gentlemen, crime has reached a new high. Over 2 million major crimes were committed last year in the United States. You and your loved ones, your lives and property are threatened. Now, during National Crime Prevention Week, the National Exchange Clubs urge you to act to protect yourself and your country. Go to church this Sunday and every Sunday. The nation needs the great moral vitality which springs from church-going men and women. And remember to be alert and be on the lookout for ways to prevent crime. Help your police force and your community reduce the crime rate.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Harry Bartell, Virginia Gregg. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters. The one filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste. Much more flavor, much less nicotine, and effective filtration. Only the L&M filter contains the miracle product alpha cellulose. Absolutely pure, non-mineral, harmless to health. Yes, this is it. As Maurice Evans puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Buy L&M filters, the light and mild smoke.
Hear Rocky Fortune following John Cameron Swayze and the news on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. The body of an attractive woman has been found in the downtown office building, beaten to death with a piece of lead pipe. The killer has escaped into the city. Your job, find him. Today, friends, you hear these 3 words everywhere. Chesterfield's for me. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. Best for you, because Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine. The taste you want, the mildness you want. Chesterfield is best for you because it is tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield is best for you because it has an established good record with smokers, proven by test after test. Yes, friends, the Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. For the taste you want, the mildness you want, join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, You will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, April 15th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We just left the murder room, and it was 7:40 a.m. when we got to suite 718, the building manager's office. Miss Joyce?
Yes. You men cops?
Yes, ma'am. We understand you're the one who found the body, is that right?
Oh, that's right. I found her. Oh, it was an awful thing.
This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday. Wonder if you feel up to telling us exactly what happened.
Oh, sure. It's just about the most terrible thing ever happened to me.
There's something we can get you, ma'am.
Oh, no, thanks. Janie brought me some hot coffee.
Who's Janie?
Janie Alquist. She works the first 3 floors. She brought me some hot coffee.
I see.
She was up here, and they let her bring it.
All right, Miss Joyce. Could you just tell us about it, please?
Look, right from the beginning. You want to hear all about the whole thing?
If you would, please.
Well, I came on at 4, just like always. I punched in and came up to the 10th floor and started in. Got the things out of the closet on the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Usually I start on the 7th. But now and then I like to do it a little different, and I start on 10 and work down.
Yes, ma'am. What time was it when you found the body?
Oh, just a few minutes ago. I guess about 7, right around in there. I only had 2 more offices to do, and I'd be finished. I just had 2 more when I got there.
Yes, ma'am. Could you go ahead and tell us about finding the body?
Oh, well, I unlocked the door, and I saw the light inside. I thought it was kind of funny, because usually it's dark.
You mean in the office?
Yes, and where Mrs. Fitzgerald's desk is, it's usually dark.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought it was kind of funny, like I said. But then I thought that maybe she was working. Mm-hmm. She does accounting, you know, woman accountant, and I thought she was working. Mm-hmm. So I knocked. I didn't just want to go right in if she was working, you know, disturb her. So I knocked. Mm-hmm. But she didn't answer.
Right, go ahead, please.
Well, I opened the door and went in. Right off, I was kind of sore about it. No excuse for a thing like that. No excuse at all.
What do you mean?
Well, didn't you see the place? Didn't you look?
Yeah.
Well, then you know what a mess it was. Papers all over the floor, and ashtrays spilled, all that mess, and I'm supposed to be through at 7:30. Well, I'd never have made it. Never got through on time. And that's when I saw her behind the desk. Oh, it was an awful thing. There she was on the floor, dead.
Yes, ma'am. There was no one else in the office?
No. Just Mrs. Fitzgerald. She was on the floor behind the desk.
What'd you do then?
Oh, I screamed. Loud as I could. I wanted somebody to come up there right away. And that was the first time I ever saw anybody dead. Then I ran out of the office and went downstairs to get somebody to help. Just an awful thing. Oh, poor Mrs. Fitzgerald. Oh, she was so nice. All the time saying hello when she'd come in early and I'd still be working. Oh, I think about it and I just can't believe that it's true. I just can't hardly believe it.
Did you see anyone on the floor while you were working?
Just Mrs. Fitzgerald.
No, ma'am. I mean, was there anybody in the halls of the building?
Oh, no. No, not that I saw. There wasn't anybody. I'd have seen them if they was there, but they weren't.
All right, Miss Joyce. We'll contact you tomorrow about a statement. Meantime, we'll leave you one of our cards here. If you think of anything we should know, we'd appreciate it if you give us a call.
Oh, I sure will. Anything at all I think of, I'll call you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I go now?
Yes, ma'am.
I've got to go home and take a hot bath and calm my nerves.
Surely.
Oh, sure, it's going to be a shock to her husband. Of course, not that he'll mind too much.
I beg your pardon?
Her husband, you know, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yes, ma'am. What about him?
Well, just that it isn't going to bother that one too much.
Why do you say that?
Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. Not a word. I shouldn't have told you. I'd get fired, sure.
Well, if it's got anything to do with Miss Fitzgerald's death, maybe you better tell us, don't you think?
Well, if you'll promise not to tell the supervisor.
All right, go ahead.
It gets dull just being in a big building by yourself, all alone at night when there isn't anybody around. It's pretty dull.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, not real often, but just once in a while, I kind of read some of the letters that people throw away, you know, in the wastebasket. They don't want them anymore, so when it gets real dull, I read them. And I've read some in Mrs. Fitzgerald's office from her husband, Mr. Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
Seems like they've been having some kind of a big fight, going to court and all. I don't know what it's all about, but they've been fighting. And in the letters, he tells how she ought to leave him alone. I guess she's asking for a lot of alimony or something. That's what it sounded like to me. Some of the letters, the way he wrote to her, mean, used to threaten her all the time.
You saw these letters where he threatened her, did you?
Yes. One, I guess it was about a week ago. He said in that, if she tried to railroad the thing through, now that's what he said, railroad the thing through, he'd come up here and...
Yes, go ahead.
Well, that's all there is. I couldn't find the other piece of the letter where he said what he was going to do. See, she tore up the letters after she read them.
All right, Miss Joyce, thank you very much.
No, I hope I helped.
Yes, ma'am, I certainly have.
I sure wish I could have found that other piece of the letter. No way of knowing what it said.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you suppose he really meant it?
I don't know. We'll ask him. By the time Frank and I had arrived at the scene, the crew from the crime lab was there. Photographs of the entire room were taken, and fingerprints were lifted from the edges of the desk, from the top of a lamp, and from the molding around the door. The murder weapon, a 15-inch section of heavy lead pipe, was booked for evidence. There was nothing we could tell from the pipe itself other than the fact that it was the murder instrument. It was a plain piece of 3/4-inch pipe. One end was wrapped in a heavy brown paper. The other was blood-stained. Because of the appearance of the office, it looked as if robbery was the motive for the crime. However, on examination of the victim's personal effects, we found that 2 large diamond rings were still on her fingers. In her purse, we found cash in the amount of $226. On the desk itself, we found a woman's wristwatch set with 12 diamonds. The fact that none of this had been removed apparently ruled out robbery as the motive. The other employees of the building were questioned, but they were unable to shed any light on a possible suspect. None of them had seen any unauthorized persons in the place after closing hours. People on the street in the immediate vicinity were questioned. The only lead we were able to come up with was that at approximately 7:02 a.m., a newsboy had seen a short, stocky man walk from the office building entrance. Other than the brief description of the man's build, the witness was unable to tell us anything. An immediate broadcast was gotten out on what information we had. From a telephone book in the victim's desk, we got an address for her husband, Oscar Fitzgerald. It was a men's club located in downtown Los Angeles. Frank and I drove over to talk to him.
Come in.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Sit down. I'll call for some coffee. You fellas want some?
No, thanks.
No, sir.
Don't mind if I have some.
No, you go right ahead.
Room service, please. Kind of early for the cops to come calling, isn't it?
Yes, sir, I guess it is.
This is Mr. Fitzgerald, room 417. Would you please send up a pot of coffee? That's right. Oh, and send a large glass of orange juice, too, huh? Yeah, make sure it's cold. 417. Right. One thing I can't go is warm orange juice. Like a cigarette?
Yeah, thank you.
Now, what's this all about? What do you want to see me for?
Well, when's the last time you saw your wife?
Ada?
Thank you.
I guess a couple of weeks ago. Why?
Well, can you narrow that down to a day?
Why? Any special reason for me to?
Well, we'd like to hear it.
Well, let's see. I guess it was around March 30th. I can check it if it's important.
Where'd you see her?
With my lawyers. We had a conference to try and work out the divorce and settlement.
What line of work are you in, Fitzgerald?
I think you'd better tell me what this is all about before I answer any more questions. If this is some sort of trick Ada's trying, you tell her it won't work and she can get off my back.
No, it's no trick. I think it might be better if you cooperate with us and answer the question.
All right, but I'm going to tell you going in that if you try to pull a fast one, I'm going to deny everything I tell you now.
If you tell us the truth, you won't have any trouble. Now, where do you work?
Right now, I'm between.
And what's that mean exactly?
Well, I'm an actor right now. I haven't got an assignment.
Where'd you work last?
Picture studio. Look, until you tell me what this is for, I'm not going to give you any names.
Can you give us your movements for the past few days?
Starting when?
Well, let's try the day before yesterday.
Okay, I got up and went out to see my agent. Of course, that was a waste of time. Hung around the office for a couple hours and then had lunch on the strip. After that, I came downtown, saw a movie. I came home, took a shower, and then kept the dinner engagement.
You prove that?
If I have to, yeah. But you're getting no names until I know what's going on.
All right, how about yesterday? What'd you do then?
I got up and went out to my agent's. He told me he had a part on the fire. We went out on an interview. I was at the studio until about 4:30, and then we went back to my agent's office and had a couple of drinks. After that, I came back here. Didn't feel too good, and I went to bed.
Well, the man at the desk would be able to verify all that, would he?
Yeah, just ask him.
Fitzgerald, how'd you get along with your wife?
Well, it's not any of your business, but I'll tell you.
It isn't any secret. I hated everything about it.
You ever have any fights with her?
Not more than 5 a week for the past 4 years.
You ever hit her?
You know, people win money for answering questions on quiz shows. What happens if I answer the big one?
Well, that depends on how you're going to answer it. We understand you wrote your wife some threatening letters now, is that right?
I guess you could call them that, yeah. I told her to get off my back and leave me alone. Told her if she didn't, she was building more trouble than she could handle.
You ever threaten her life?
No. I'm not going to try to tell you that there weren't times when I could have killed Ada. There were a lot of them, but it wasn't worth it, not for her.
What'd you argue about mostly?
The divorce. I've been trying to get one for the last 4 years. Ada wouldn't see it. Finally, when I did talk her into it, the settlement she wanted was way out of line. I wouldn't go for it and told her so. What's all this about the fights and the threatening, anyway? Something happened to Ada, is that it?
Yes, sir.
She been hurt?
I'm afraid it's more serious than that.
She dead?
Yes, sir.
You think I did?
Now we're checking everybody that knew her.
Okay, I told her there were times when I could have, when I maybe wanted to. But I wouldn't go to jail for her. Not ever. You got to find another boy, and when you do, I'll go his lawyer's fee.
Yeah.
How'd they do it?
Piece of lead pipe.
Bad?
Yeah.
Rough way to go.
Is there an easy way? We made a preliminary search of the room, but we found nothing that would tie in the victim's husband, Oscar Fitzgerald, with the crime. We talked to the desk clerk, and he verified the man's story that he'd been in his apartment the evening of the killing. Fitzgerald made arrangements with us to attend the coroner's inquest, and Frank and I went back to the city hall. We checked with the crime lab on their investigation. Lieutenant Lee Jones told us that they'd been able to lift several partial fingerprints from the murder weapon, but that they were impossible to classify. He went on to say that the other prints that had been found at the scene were unusable as evidence, since it would be difficult to get enough points for identification. The other physical evidence taken from the office was of little use. A check had been made of the piece of pipe, but it was found to be of a common type and impossible to trace. Microphotographs had been made of the serrated edges, and these had been booked as evidence. We asked the stats office to make a run on the M.O. of the crime, and they told us that they would start through their files immediately. For the next 2 days, Frank and I talked to all of the friends and relatives of the victim, attempting to find a motive for the crime. From what we had to work on, the only plausible reason for the killing was either revenge or jealousy. None of Mrs. Fitzgerald's friends or business acquaintances were able to point out anyone with a strong enough reason to kill the woman. Monday, April 19th, Frank and I got back to the office after interviewing one of the victim's business competitors.
Well, that's another one that didn't go anyplace.
It seems like that's all we've been drawing on this one, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll check the book.
All right. Anything come in from the stats office yet?
No. Said they'd have the rest of the run for us this afternoon.
First bunch didn't turn anything. I got it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah, Jack. Anything on him? Sure. We're no place now. Well, no, anything's got to be. You want to give me that address? All right. All right, we'll check it. Good. All right, Jack. Thanks again. Bye. Jack McCready says he talked to one of his informants this morning. Guy came up with a couple of good things, maybe.
Yeah?
One of them's about a guy in the Olympia bar at 4th and Kohler. Fellow's pretty drunk. Been doing a lot of talking down there.
Something for us?
Maybe. He's bragging about beating a woman to death with a piece of pipe. 4:40 p.m. We left the office and drove over to the corner of 4th and Kohler, the Olympia bar. When we walked in, there were only a few customers in the place. At the far end of the bar, a short, stocky man was sitting alone. In front of him was an empty shot glass and a bottle of beer. He appeared to be pretty drunk, and as we entered, he was talking to the other people seated at the bar.
Any of you guys that don't believe it, you just come outside with me, I'll show you. Show you all, every one of you. Bartender, I got an empty glass. Now, let's do something about it, huh? I need a drink.
I think you had about enough of that, don't you?
What?
I said you had enough to drink.
Who are you to tell me that, huh? Who are you to come in here and tell me what to do? What's the matter? You think you're cops or something, huh? Is that what you think?
You called it. Come on, we want to talk to you.
You mean you are cops?
That's right.
Well, listen, you better get out of here and do it fast if you know what's good for you. You just better.
Frank, yeah.
Take your hands off me. You guys don't hear good, do you?
Stand still.
You come messing around with me, you're going to find out. You'll find out good. I'll give you the same thing I gave her, the same thing.
Hold it, Frank. All right, come on, mister. Who are you talking about?
I'll tell you who. I'll tell you good. Then you'll know, leave me alone if you know what's good for you. I'm talking about that Ada Fitzgerald, that's who. Ada. You go messing with me and you'll get what she got. I'm a pretty rough fella, you know. Pretty rough.
That's right.
You betcha.
You're not dealing with a kid, you know.
Well, that makes it even then, doesn't it?
Huh?
You're not dealing with a woman. We took the suspect down to the homicide squad room. He identified himself as Carl Neely. He was handcuffed to a chair, and we ran his name through the record bureau. He had a long string of arrests for various charges, including attempted robbery, assault, and assault with intent to do great bodily harm. He'd never been convicted on a felony, but his record showed that he'd served 2 terms in the county jail for drunk charges and creating a public nuisance. While we were checking his record, the suspect passed out in an alcoholic stupor in the squad room. We contacted Sergeant Jack McCready and Officer Danny Galindo and asked them to make a search of the suspect's residence. In going over the place, they'd found a blood-stained shirt and a coat. The garments were packed in a cardboard box that had been hidden under the kitchen sink. They were brought downtown to us along with an empty envelope found in the apartment. It had been sent to the suspect, Neely, and the return address on the back indicated that the letter had been sent by the victim's husband, Oscar Fitzgerald. We waited for the suspect to come to enough for us to question him. Frank went out and brought back some hot coffee. We tried to get Neely to drink some of it. 8:40 p.m.
That's got hot.
All right, come on, try some more.
You're cops, huh?
You've been the route before.
Yeah. What am I here for?
I want to talk to you about the Fitzgerald woman.
Ada? Spouting off again.
You said you killed her.
Figures. Every time I get tanked up, I always kill somebody. Never fails.
All right, tell us about the Fitzgerald woman.
Nothing to tell. I read about it in the papers. This morning I started drinking. It always happens when I've been belting the booze. I right away tell people I killed somebody.
These clothes here belong to you?
Let me see. I don't know. Where'd you get them?
Are they yours?
I don't know.
You got that many clothes? I know all the clothes I got. No trouble at all.
Yeah, you don't dress as good as me.
All right, come off it, Neely. You're in trouble. Big trouble here. You sat in the bar this morning, told everybody about how you'd beaten a woman to death. We find these clothes in your apartment, bloodstains all over them. Here's another thing, this envelope. Where'd you get this?
Through the mail, like it says. You see the stamp?
You know Oscar Fitzgerald?
I don't get mail from strangers. Sure, I know him. Is it a crime to get a letter now?
What was in that envelope?
I don't think that's none of your business.
Well, we do. What kind of dealings have you got with Oscar Fitzgerald?
You used to work for him?
Doing what?
I took care of the place when him and Ada were married, sort of a general handyman.
When'd you see him last?
I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago, around there, 3 months.
And what did he find so important that he wrote you about it?
Look, he loaned me some money. He sent me a check.
It was a loan, huh?
Yeah.
Sign any sort of note for the money?
Well, I endorsed the check. It said on it I was a loan. What are you guys trying to prove, anyway? You trying to tie me in with Ada's killing?
You look good for it.
You're off your rocker. I had nothing to do with it. Sure, you got me for drunk, but that's all.
Your record makes you look good for it.
Clothes we found in your apartment don't help you.
You sure Oscar Fitzgerald didn't pay you to kill his wife?
Be a lot better if you told us the truth here, Neely.
I'm telling you the truth. It's right in front of you. All you got to do is open your eyes. It's there.
Where'd the bloodstains come from?
They're mine.
Well, tell us about it.
Well, I got in a fight with another fella.
Where?
A bar down on 7th.
When?
Wednesday.
Last week?
Yeah, last Wednesday.
What time did you have this fight?
Closing time?
That'd make it about 2 o'clock, huh?
That's when the bar's closed.
Where'd you go after you had the fight?
Went up to a friend's house and had a couple more drinks.
Who's a friend?
You don't know him. He's got no record.
What's his name?
I don't want him dragged into anything.
What's his name?
Jackie Meadows.
Let me see your hands, Neely.
Sure.
Well, you got some pretty bad bruises there. You must have hit something pretty hard.
Fight I told you about, that's where those came from.
Tell us what you did after you left the bar.
I told you I went up to Jackie's. I had a couple of drinks.
What time did you get there?
Around 3, maybe 3:10.
What time did you leave?
About 5.
Where'd you go?
I don't remember too good. I was pretty boozed up.
Where do you think you went?
Well, Jackie was worried about me being cut up from the fight. He wanted me to see a doctor.
Yeah?
He drove me down to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
Yeah.
I was there until 9:30 Thursday morning.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
World altitude records. World speed records. All part of Bill Bridgman's job as a supersonic test pilot for Douglas Aircraft. You read about Bill in Time magazine. Now let's meet one of the world's fastest humans.
and Jacqueline Hazard, who is collaborating with Bill on his new book, Test Pilot. They smoke America's most popular two-way cigarette, Chesterfield.
I smoke the king size. After hearing what the Chesterfield people have been saying about them, I thought I should try them. I'm convinced they're best for me.
It's Chesterfields for me, too, but I like the regular size. Either way, they're everything Bill says, and they're really mild.
You try Chesterfields. I think you'll find they're best for you.
Yes, for the taste you want, the mildness you want. Join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield.
The call was put through to Dr. Hall at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, asking if a patient was given emergency treatment on the morning of Thursday, April 15th. A search of the hospital records verified the story told to us by the suspect, Carl Neely. We checked through our crime reports, and we found that a miscellaneous injury report had been made. From the coroner's report, we knew that the victim had been murdered between the hours of 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. on that morning. We got in touch with Neely's friend, Jackie Meadows, and he also verified the suspect's story. He was booked in at the main jail on a charge of being drunk in a public place, and Frank and I started checking out the remainder of the list that the stats office had given us. Originally, there had been 12 names on the list. We talked to 10 of them. The 11th, a Norman Sitkin, had a record of burglary, attempted robbery, and assault with a deadly weapon. He'd been arrested and brought to trial on a charge of murder 3 years previously, but he'd been acquitted. The circumstances surrounding his arrest were the same as those in the Fitzgerald case. The main reason he'd been released a free man was the testimony of his mother, who had sworn that Sitkin had been home with her on the night of the killing. When we went out to his home, we found that he wasn't there. We talked to his mother, and she told us that he'd been in San Diego for the past 3 days. Under interrogation, we established the fact that on the night of the Fitzgerald killing, Sitkin hadn't been at home, but that he had been in Los Angeles. We put in a call to the San Diego authorities and talked to Lieutenant Mort Gear in the homicide detail. We contacted the hotel where he was staying in Los Angeles, and a 24-hour stakeout was placed on the location. Wednesday, April 21st. Frank and I got back from lunch.
Better put in a call to Mort, huh? See if we got anything on Sitkin?
Yeah. You want to do it?
Right.
Okay.
Hi, this is Frank Smith, robbery. Yeah, I'd like to put in the call to San Diego PD Homicide Bureau. Lieutenant Mort Gear. No, it's a homicide. Yeah, DR 132549. Yeah, that's the one. Mm-hmm. That's 3268? Huh? Well, 58. Right. Okay, Sam, thanks. I'm on this one, Joe.
Oh, sorry. Homicide Friday. Yes, sir? No, that's right. When was that? Yes, sir. Right away. Cancel that call, Frank.
What do you got?
Sitkin just walked into his hotel. Frank and I left the office immediately and drove out to Sitkin's hotel. We talked to the officers on stakeout, and they told us that the suspect had just returned. They went on to explain that they'd given Sitkin no reason to suspect that anything was wrong and that he'd gone directly to his room. Frank and I got in the elevator, and we went up to the 4th floor.
Yeah? All right, just a minute.
Yeah? What do you want? You Norman Sitkin?
Yeah, what do you want?
Police officer.
Come on. You got no right to do this. Let me see your warrant.
Get your coat, Sitkin. We want to talk to you.
What for? What do you got to talk to me about? I got nothing to say.
Get your coat.
Why? What's the charge? What are you taking me in for?
Suspicion of murder?
You're kidding.
Well, you just keep thinking then.
You mean this is for real?
Come on, let's go.
Well, no, wait a minute. I want to know what this is all about.
Is that so?
Well, sure. Figure I had something to do with that woman who was beaten to death downtown. Fitzgerald, I think that's the name, huh? Isn't that what you think?
Well, you seem to know all about it.
Well, you're way off on this one. I got an alibi that you can't break. I can see you guys figuring because I stood this kind of beef once before, you can make it stick this time. Well, it won't work, cop. None of it fits together. I can prove where I was that night every minute.
All right.
That's right, every minute. You check in my house. Happens I was with my mother, just like the other time. All night I was home.
You're going to stand on that?
Well, there isn't any other way.
Well, that's going to make it a lot easier then.
Well, what's that supposed to mean?
We talked to your mother. She says you weren't home that night.
Well, she's wrong. You let me talk to her. She'll tell you. You just let me talk to her.
She's sure you weren't there. She's willing to testify to that.
Get out of my way!
All right, come on. Let me get the cuffs.
Yeah. Hold still.
Funny, isn't it?
What's that?
Well, looks like he might have been good on that first killing, the one he was acquitted on. His mother might have lied on the stand.
That's not going to make a lot of difference, is it?
Huh?
He's going to make up for it on this one.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 17th, trial was held in Department 97, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Earlier, George Fenneman told you exactly why the Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. And best for you. Now, the rest is up to you. Get a carton or two for yourself. Smoke them and you'll say, as we do, it's Chesterfields for me.
Norman Edward Sitkin was tried and convicted for murder in the first degree. On recommendation of the jury, he received the maximum penalty, and on July 19th, he was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Herb Ellis. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters, the one filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste, much more flavor, much less nicotine, and effective filtration. Only the L&M filter contains the miracle product alpha cellulose, absolutely pure, non-mineral, harmless to health. Yes, this is it. As Helen Hayes puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Buy L&M filters, the light and mild smoke.
Hear Rocky Fortune following John Cameron Swayze and the news on the NBC Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Dragnet is brought to you by Chesterfield, made by Liggett & Myers, first major tobacco company to bring you a complete line of quality cigarettes.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the missing persons detail. You get a call that a young mother and a 9-month-old baby have disappeared. Routine investigation turns up the possibility of foul play. Your job? Find them. Today, friends, you hear these 3 words everywhere. Chesterfields for me. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. Best for you, because Chesterfield gives you proof of highest quality, low nicotine, the taste you want, the mildness you want. Chesterfield is best for you because it's tested and approved by 30 years of scientific tobacco research. Chesterfield is best for you because it has an established good record with smokers, proven by test after test. Yes, friends, the Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made for the taste you want, the mildness you want. Join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield. Always say, Chesterfields for me.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department,
You will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 12th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Homicide Division, missing persons detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We were on our way out from the office, and it was 10:14 a.m. when we got to 1865 Malabar Street. Manager's apartment.
Better try it again, huh?
Yeah.
Just a minute. I'm moving as fast as I can.
Sounds like she's got trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Miss Fleischer?
Yeah, what do you want?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to you.
Come in. I got to take care of that kid.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, ma'am.
Sit down. I'll be right back.
All right, thank you.
Sounds like colic to me.
All right?
Yeah, sounds like colic. Wonder if she's got a hot water bottle.
What?
Hot water bottle. Put it on the kid's stomach. Makes him feel better.
Oh.
Both of ours had the colic. Pour out 3 hot water bottles.
On 2 kids?
No, Joe. We lost the stopper on one of them.
Baby's teething, having a rough time.
Oh.
This is my partner, Frank Smith. My name's Friday. We'd like to ask you some questions about one of your tenants.
Oh, which one?
Mrs. Shipley. We understand she had apartment 207.
Yeah, she did. What about her?
You know where we can get in touch with her?
You got any idea?
When did you see her last?
Guess it must have been a month ago.
Possible you might be able to give us an exact date on that?
Well, if I could have done that, I told you right out. I got nothing to hide.
Well, we didn't mean to say that you had, ma'am.
Well, it sounded like it. Sounded an awful lot like it. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yes, ma'am.
When Harriet first moved in here, we got along fine. She was all the time wanting me to tell her how to take care of the baby when it came.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Got along just fine. Used to have our little cup of coffee in the afternoon. Chummy. Then all of a sudden it all got different.
Well, how was that?
Just did. Her husband was overseas. In the Army. I guess Harriet missed him pretty much. Anyway, she was always saying how she did. Wished he could be here when the baby was born. Got terrible depressed.
I see.
Moody, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
I did what I could to cheer her up. Used to go up there and we'd sit and talk. Taught her how to knit. Gave her some needles and yarns, a little present. I thought maybe it'd give her something to think about. Kind of take her mind off her and her husband. Didn't do no good.
Well, how long had her husband been away, do you know?
4 months this time. He's over in Japan, I think, Army.
Mm-hmm.
Harriet used to go out once in a while, go down to the show. Seemed like just about every picture she saw made her sadder. I guess that's why she did it. Just got so sad she couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, what's that?
Tried to kill herself.
Miss Shipley?
Yeah. I got the kids in bed one night and went up there. I hadn't heard nothing from her that day, so I went up to see how she was. Good thing I did, too. Found her right there in the living room. She cut her wrists. Right away I called for the doctor, and all the ambulances and police came running around. Took her to the hospital. Big deal. Guess I found her in time, though. They pulled her through.
Mm-hmm.
I walk up there and find her dying, that far from death's door, and when she comes home from the hospital, what thanks do you think I get?
I wouldn't know. Go ahead.
Nothing. Not a single solitary word do I get. She's mad. Says I should have left her alone, let her done it. Come in here when she got back and read me off in words that I ain't used to hearing.
Uh-huh.
I got 5 kids, mister. They take a lot of time, and I ain't got enough to go running around after nobody who don't thank a person for saving their life like that. I called it quits right then. Right at that minute, we were no longer friends.
Mm-hmm. When did she make the attempt on her life?
Last September. I don't remember the date. I think it was the 2nd. Maybe the 3rd week. I'm not sure about what day it was. Anyway, after I saved her life, she's mad at me.
She have any people here in Los Angeles, would you know?
I never heard her talking none. She's got a sister. I don't know, but I don't know where she is. Don't think Harriet ever said.
Well, what did she say to you when she left? She give you any idea where she was going?
I didn't even see her. She didn't even come by and say so long. Goodbye, take a jump, nothing. She just left. One night she's here, next morning she's gone.
She get any mail while she was here?
Yeah. Once in a while she'd get a letter from her husband. Then there was a couple of letters from San Francisco. I don't know who they was from.
She take everything with her? All of her personal things?
Nothing. Left it all here. Of course, it's not much, but it's all here.
I see. Where are the things, ma'am?
Downstairs in the basement. I got it all put away in case she ever comes back. Gonna cost her, too. Storage and for me to pack it. I told you it isn't much. Some dresses, a few clothes for the baby, phonograph, couple of records. That's about it. You can see them if you want them.
We'd like to take a look at them before we leave.
Yeah, sure thing. Can't let you take them, though. I gotta collect for the storage.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Shipley have any close friends that you know of?
Well, not that I know of. Of course, she might have had some down at the Dream Palace.
Where's that?
Where she worked. Dance hall downtown. She was kind of hostess there.
Mm-hmm. That's the name of the place, is it? Dream Palace?
Yeah. She might have had some friends down there. None of them ever came here, though. At least if they did, I never saw them.
You know of any reason that she might have left in such a hurry?
Well, not right off, I can't think of one. There was something wrong with her, though, when she came back from the hospital. You know, when she had the baby, she was worried about something.
Would you know what it was?
No, all I know is that when she'd been home a couple of days, she came down here and asked me to do some work on the apartment. I told her if she wanted anything done, she could do it herself the way she talked to me.
Well, what'd she want done?
Silliest thing I ever heard of. She didn't have anything to steal.
Well?
She wanted all the locks on the doors changed.
10:46 a.m. In the company of the apartment manager, Barbara Fleischer, Frank and I went down to the basement and looked through the missing woman's effects. Other than the phonograph, several cardboard boxes of used baby clothes, and cheap woman's dresses, we found nothing. There were no snapshots or letters to aid us in ascertaining where she might have gone. We asked Mrs. Fleischer to notify us in the event that she heard from the Shipley woman. We put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital and verified the story about the attempted suicide. 11:15 a.m. We checked the phone book for the address of the Dream Palace Dance Hall. It was on the second floor of a large building at the corner of 7th and Margot Streets. On the front of the building were several faded photographs of contest winners with the cups that they'd won and the name of the proprietor, Ernest Lasnik. We went upstairs. It was a large barn-like room with crepe paper birds hanging over the lights. In the rear of the place, at one of the tables, we found Lasnik. He was just eating his lunch.
Mr. Lasnik?
Yeah? What do you want?
I'd like to ask you some questions. We're police officers. My name's Smith. My partner, Sergeant Friday.
Hi.
How are you?
Won't shake hands. Got butter all over them. Sit down.
Thank you.
Care for a sandwich?
No, thank you.
No, you do go right ahead. There's all the makings, bread, butter, salami, pickles. Help yourself.
No, thanks, Mr. Lasnik.
You don't mind if I go ahead, huh? Bunch of kids coming in at 3:30. Like to get the place cleaned up before they get here.
No, sir, you go right ahead.
All right. What do you want to see me about?
It's about one of your employees, sir.
Yeah? Which one?
A girl named Harriet Shipley.
Oh, yeah, I remember. She don't work here anymore.
She doesn't work here anymore?
No.
Got any idea where she is?
No, got the slightest. I ain't seen Nadine in about maybe 6 months.
No, sir, you don't understand. We're inquiring about a Harriet Shipley.
Yeah, I know. I told you. I ain't seen her in 6 months.
What's this about Nadine?
That's her club name.
Oh.
See, lots of the girls don't like to use their real names. In case a fellow wants to get chummy away from here, it's easier if we don't know the girl's real name. Harriet used Nadine.
I understand.
You know, we got a bunch of them. When one of the girls leaves, we put the name back in a hat. New girl picks it. Had 14 Nadine since we opened. 27 Altheas.
Yes, sir. Do you have any idea where the Shipley girl is?
No. Might check her husband. He might know.
We understand he was in the Army.
Yeah, that's right. He is. Overseas. He should know where his wife is, though. Ask him.
Well, we'll probably do that, sir. We thought maybe we could turn her up ourselves. There's been a missing report filed on her.
Missing, huh? Who told it?
Sir?
Who told about her being missing?
The report was filed by her mother-in-law.
Well, I wish I could help you fellas out.
The last time you saw the Shipley girl, she say anything about leaving town?
No. Wouldn't be surprised, though.
Why do you say that?
Well, poor kid was scared to death. Told me she wanted to get away.
Do you know what she was frightened about?
Yeah, Cliff Bender. That's what she was afraid of, Cliff.
Well, who's he?
Well, look, I'll tell you the whole thing. Be easier that way. One favor I got to ask you.
Yes, sir?
You won't tell Cliff I told you. If you come up here, he could tear the place apart easy. You got to promise me you won't tell him.
All right, sir. You go ahead.
Yeah. Well, Nadine, Harriet, well, she came to work for me about 1.5 years ago. Came in and told me she'd had some experience in a dance place in the Midwest. I don't remember the name right off. Probably come to me.
Yes, sir.
Well, I told her I'd try her, sort of probation.
Yes, sir.
Well, it worked out fine. End of the week, I put her on permanent. She did real well. A lot of guys got to come in just to dance with her. Wouldn't have nobody else, just Nadine. Harriet. Well, that's how she met Cliff. He come in one night, fell for it, and they started to go together. I told him I didn't like the idea of girls going out with the customers. Not good business. Didn't make any difference to them, though. They kept right on seeing each other.
That's this Bender fella.
Yeah. Well, anyway, one night the soldier come in. He was took right away with Nadine. Asked her for a dance. Kept buying tickets all night so he could dance with her. Come back the next night. Same thing. All night long he danced with Nadine.
That's Harriet.
Yeah, that's right. Called her Nadine. I told you about it.
Yes, sir.
Made Cliff plenty sore, but there wasn't anything he could do about it. She wanted to be with a soldier. It wasn't too long before she told him he was going to get married. Well, word got around about that. Really made Cliff hacked. Real hacked.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, him and the soldier, Shipley, had a fight downstairs one night after we closed. Guess Cliff waited for him and Nadine to come down. Anyway, it was a real brawl. Cops and everything. Cliff really cleaned up on the soldier. Didn't do any good, though.
What do you mean?
Nadine told Cliff to stay away from her. Keep far away. Told him that her and the soldier was going to get married and that they were through. She meant Cliff and her. Well, the soldier and Nadine got married a couple of days later, and she quit her job. Right after that, I heard he went overseas, and Cliff was around trying to break things up. Didn't do no good, though. Nadine loved the soldier, and she planned to stay with him.
Yes, sir.
Well, I tried to talk to Cliff, tell him to stay out of it. Leave the girl alone.
What was that?
I told him to leave the girl alone.
I
see. Didn't do any good. He was sure hacked. He said that she was his girl. Might take some time, but he'd get her for running out on it. I figured he told her that, too. That's what she was afraid of. Don't blame her. Cliff told me that. I'd believe him.
What's that, sir?
That he was going to kill her.
12:26 p.m. After we'd gotten the names and addresses of the employees of the Dream Palace who knew the missing girl, Frank and I went back to the office. We had the names checked through the record bureau, but we found that only one of the 14 people on the list had arrest records. That one was a Cliff Bender, who had been picked up on a charge of suspicion of burglary. However, according to the information on the report, he'd been released because of lack of evidence. We checked the log about the fight Lasnik had mentioned. We found that an FI card had been filed, but that no arrest had been made. We went over to room 45 and we talked with Sergeant Eggenweiler and Sergeant Rubles, the officers who'd handled the burglary case. They told us that in their contacts with Bender, he was sullen and uncooperative. They told us that he had been seen in the company of known criminals. They also told us that in their opinion, they considered the man dangerous. We checked his last known address, but we found that he'd moved in July, leaving no forwarding address. While Frank and I checked out the rest of the missing girl's friends and acquaintances, Sergeant Graham and Cliff Bailey tried to check on Bender. We talked to everybody on the list we'd gotten from Ernest Lasnik, but none of them could give us any idea where we might find the Shipley girl. Most of them, however, told us about the threat that Bender had made against her life and expressed the opinion that he was responsible for her disappearance. The next day, Wednesday, August 13th, Frank and I went by communications, then we checked back into the office.
I tell you the mother-in-law of that missing girl called again this morning?
No, you didn't.
Yeah, she wanted to know how we were doing, what progress we've been able to make.
Well, what'd you tell her?
Well, I filled her in on what we found. I didn't tell her about Bender, though, just said we thought we'd be able to find the girl.
Mm-hmm.
You talked to her when she made the original report, didn't you, Joe?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, how do you mean?
Well, isn't there something there that's a little off base to you?
I don't know what you're trying to get at.
Well, it just seems to me that she doesn't care if we find her daughter-in-law or not. All she cares about is the kid.
Well, yeah, I kind of got that idea myself. The way she talked, doesn't seem that she and the girl got along too well, does it?
No. It just seems like there's something she isn't telling us. I don't know what it is. I asked her this morning if she'd heard from her son, if he knew anything about where his wife might be.
What'd you say to that?
Well, she told me she didn't want to bother him, make him worry. Wouldn't even tell me his mailing address. Said she didn't want him alarmed unless there was a reason.
No, the way I see it, his wife being gone is reason enough.
Yeah, that's the way it seems to me, and I told her that. She said our job was just to find the girl and the baby, and that's all.
Cooperation like that isn't going to make it any easier, is it? We can only do so much if she isn't going to help us.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Her filing the report and then holding out information.
I may better get over and talk to her again. See if we can get the whole story. How about Graham and Bailey? You heard from them?
No, there's a note in the book. They got a lead on Bender. Graham said they were going to run it down for us this morning.
Uh-huh. What time you got now?
9:43.
I want to talk to the skipper. Make arrangements to put a picture of the Shipley girl on suspects wanted this afternoon. Might be able to turn something, huh?
Sure, a lot of loose ends.
I get it. Missing persons Friday. Yeah, Graham. Mm-hmm. Where? What'd she say? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's about the same. What? Yeah. Well, you want to call the crime line? Right. No, we'll meet you out there right away. Right, bye. Well, they found where Bender was living.
What do you mean was?
Checked out last June, about the same time the Shipley girl disappeared. Landlady hasn't seen him since. Guys came up with something else.
Yeah.
A couple of shirts for a baby.
Uh-huh.
Bloodstains all over him. "10:02 a.m. We got to the apartment where Bender had been living. The crew from the crime lab were there, and they were photographing the room and the clothing that had been found. Sergeant J. Allen told us that he'd have to run a precipitate test on the stains before he could tell whether or not they were of human origin. 10:45 a.m. They finished their investigation on the scene, and they went back to Central Station to compile the results. Frank called the office, and a local and an APB were put out on Cliff Bender, asking that he be picked up as a possible suspect. We also had his card flagged in the record bureau. We talked to the landlady of the apartment building, and she told us that Bender had left his apartment hurriedly one night about the middle of June. She was unable to tell us the exact date, but she did go on to say that she'd been getting a check for the rent each month. We asked her if she could show us either one of the checks or an envelope that had come in. She explained that she had thrown the envelopes away and had cashed the checks. She was unable to tell us where they'd been mailed from. She said that as far as she knew, she'd never seen the Shipley girl in Bender's apartment. We asked her to notify us immediately in the event that the suspect returned. We put in a call to the bank where the rent checks were cashed, and we asked that they give us the information on them. 1:30 p.m. Frank and I went over to the crime lab, and we talked to Jay Allen. He told us that the stains on the baby clothes were human blood. He showed us the photographs taken, but there was nothing in them that would give us any lead as to either the girl's or Bender's whereabouts. That afternoon, the picture of Harriet Shipley was telecast over the police program. We got several calls from citizens who said that they'd seen the girl. We checked them all out. One of the callers, a bus driver, told us that he'd seen the girl and the baby on his bus during the month of June, and that she'd gotten off in San Diego. We alerted the police in that city to look for her. Thursday morning, Frank and I checked into the office. You want to check the book, Frank, see if there's anything from San Diego?
Right.
I got it. Missing persons, Friday. Yes, that's right. Yes, we did. Uh-huh. Where? You sure about that? Right away. Mm-hmm. Frank, get your coat.
What do you got?
Shipley girl, they found her.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action.
Meet the Tom Harmons. You know Tom is an All-American, and now a top sports announcer. Mrs. Harmon is the motion picture and television star Elise Knox. They're typical of people everywhere who are saying, Chesterfields for me.
I like regular-sized Chesterfields. Have for years. They're best for me, at least I think so, because of that Chesterfield quality.
That's the way I feel about them, too. I've always smoked Chesterfields. Now I go for the king size. Guess I like a longer smoke.
So whether you smoke regular size like Elise Knox or king size like Tom Harmon, enjoy America's most popular two-way cigarette. Chesterfields for me. You hear it everywhere. The Chesterfield you smoke today is the best cigarette ever made. For the taste you want, the mildness you want, join the thousands now changing to Chesterfield.
The call had come from a nurse at the State Mental Hospital in Camarillo. She told me that they had a patient who resembled the photograph of the missing girl as televised on our police program. Frank and I left the office and drove out to the hospital. We talked to the nurse and to the doctor who was taking care of the sick girl. From personal effects and the scars on her wrists, we were reasonably sure of the identification. The doctor told us that the girl had been committed on July 17th by her sister under the name Harriet Lavin. He told us that the girl was undergoing treatment, but that there was little hope for a complete recovery and that it would be some time before she could be permitted to leave the violent ward. We tried to talk to her, but we were unable to get any coherent answers. We asked about the baby, but the authorities were unable to give us any information. We got the name and address of the sister who had committed the Shipley girl, and we drove down to San Diego to talk to her. It was a small place in a wartime housing development. The paint was peeling off the plyboard walls, and the front yard was overgrown with weeds. The woman who answered the door identified herself as Pauline Lavin.
Sure, what do you want to know? Don't make no difference now. You go back and tell her it's too late. Way too late.
Tell who, ma'am?
Mrs. Shipley, Harriet's mother-in-law. You go back and tell her she done it good. There ain't nothing left to do to Harriet. It's all been done. You can tell her that.
Well, we don't work for Miss Shipley, ma'am. We're trying to find out what happened to your sister and the baby.
Who asked you to find out in the first place? It was her, wasn't it? Wasn't she the one?
She filed a report.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, you go back and tell her there's nothing more she can do to Harriet or the baby or Big Jerry. Nothing at all she can do.
Where is the baby, ma'am?
He's not here.
Do you know where he is?
Yes, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell anybody. I promised Harriet I wouldn't tell, and I'm going to keep the promise.
Miss Lavin, we don't want to hurt your sister. We're just trying to get to the truth. Now, maybe you better tell us what you know.
You ain't doing this for old Miss Shipley?
No, ma'am.
All right, then. I'll tell you, but not for her. I wouldn't give her the right time of day. She's the one that did it, the whole thing. You can lay it right at her feet.
All right, you want to tell us about it?
Since they got married, she's given the kids trouble. Right from the first she heard about it. Said that Harriet wasn't good enough for her son. Said Harriet was cheap. Didn't make any difference to the kids. They got married anyway. They were in love, so they got married.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Big Jerry went overseas, she started on Harriet to get an annulment. All the time writing her letters telling her how cheap she was. That if she really loved Jerry, she'd get an annulment. And she found out about the baby, so she started saying how they should get a divorce.
Does Harriet's husband know about this, would you know?
Sure. All along he knew it. He didn't like it. Told his mother to stay out of their lives. Kept telling her, but it didn't do any good. None. Then Harriet got the wire. The one that told about Big Jerry being dead. Almost killed her. I thought it was going to. They was really in love. It isn't often you see something like them, too. Real love. The kind you live, not the kind you talk about.
Mm-hmm.
One night, right after she got the wire, she got a phone call from San Francisco. From old Miss Shipley. She told Harriet that she was going to the court to take the baby away from her. Said she could prove Harriet wasn't a good mother and she didn't deserve to have the baby.
Was Harriet living here at the time?
No. Well, she'd come down every weekend, but she wasn't living here. There was a guy up in L.A. that was giving her trouble. A fellow named Bender, I think. He was with her when she tried to kill herself. He ran out so he wouldn't get mixed up in it. He was always giving Harriet trouble, so she left one night to get away from him and old Mrs. Shipley. She came down here and said that she just wanted to be left alone with her baby. That's not a lot to ask, is it? Just to be left alone?
No, ma'am.
It was for old Mrs. Shipley. She just wouldn't let Harriet alone. Kept after her saying how she was going to take away the baby. How Harriet was an unfit mother. Kind of got on her mind. Finally, there wasn't much else she was thinking about but how to keep her baby. She went out walking one night. Took the baby with her. Rained. Rained real hard. I guess the baby took cold. Anyway, the next day he came down with a bad fever. A couple of days later, he was dead. Not even a year old, and he was dead.
Mm-hmm. You want to go on?
Harriet sat around for a week. Didn't say anything. Didn't do nothing, just stare at the wall. Didn't even cry. Just sat and looked at the wall. And all of a sudden, she just fell apart. I called the doctor. Said it was a breakdown and said I should have her committed. I signed the papers, and that's where she is. I went up to see her. She didn't even know me. I'm her sister, and she didn't even know me. So you just tell Miss Shipley how she did good. You just tell her what she did to my sister. Tell her how the baby's dead, and she's finally got what she wanted, because now Harriet hasn't got the baby. Nobody's got him. Nobody's got him, nobody.
Come on, Frank.
Yeah. Where to?
Well, we better get back to town.
Guess so.
See Miss Shipley. We got back to Los Angeles at 9:30 p.m. We went directly to the hotel where Mrs. Shipley was staying. The desk clerk told us that she left word that she was not to be disturbed. He called the room, and she asked that we come up. We took the elevator to the 7th floor, and we walked down the hall.
Good evening, Sergeant Friday. Officer Smith, come in.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're just having a drink. May I fix you one?
No, thank you.
How about you, Mr. Smith?
No, thank you.
You don't mind if I go ahead?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Just sit down, and I'll be right with you.
Thank you.
Desk clerk said it was important.
Yes, ma'am.
You found my daughter-in-law?
Yes, ma'am.
And the baby? Where is he? Is he still with her?
No, ma'am, he's not.
Where is he?
Your daughter-in-law's pretty sick, Miss Shipley.
Oh?
Yes, ma'am. She's in the state hospital up at Camarillo.
Camarillo?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a mental hospital, isn't it?
That's right.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Harriet, but I knew she wasn't very stable.
Why didn't you tell us your son was dead, Mrs. Shipley?
I didn't think it had any bearing on the thing. What difference does it make?
You don't seem to be very interested in his wife.
I'm going to be honest with you, Sergeant. I'm not. Not in the least interested in what she does or where she is. I never did feel she was the right girl for my son, never. When the baby was born, I tried to go along with it. I tried to be nice to her, and she wouldn't have it. She wouldn't even be friendly. She poisoned my son, turned him against me. She's a terrible woman. Just terrible. Whatever's happened to her is just exactly what she's got coming. Naturally, I'm sorry it's the way it is, but there's nothing I can do. All I'm interested in right now is my grandchild. I want him. And if I have to go to court to get him, then I'll do it that way.
That won't be necessary, ma'am.
Where is he? I'd like to go and get him now that Jerry's wife can't take care of him.
He's dead, ma'am.
If this is some kind of a joke that you're making up to help my daughter-in-law keep him, it won't work.
It's no joke. It's the truth. He died in a hospital in San Diego.
It's not right. It's not right that he's dead. She did this. Harriet. She did it to get even with me. I know she did.
We're sorry, Miss Shipley.
First my husband, then Jerry. I haven't got anybody. I'm all by myself. There isn't anybody in the world who cares. Nobody.
No, we're sorry, Miss Shipley. I wish there was something we could do.
No, you're not. You're like the rest of them. But it's Harriet. She's the one. Nobody else to consider in this mess. Just her.
What about the baby?
The story you've just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Thursday, August 14th, a meeting was held in the office of the Captain of Homicide, Los Angeles Police Department. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. You know, the Chesterfield you smoked today is the best cigarette ever made, and best for you. Now, that's a fact. And to my way of thinking, it's the very reason for you to change to Chesterfield. Try 'em either way, regular or king size. If you try 'em, I think you'll say with all of us, Chesterfield's for me.
At the meeting held in Captain Lorman's office, it was decided that no criminal act had taken place, and the case was officially marked closed. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Herb Bygren, Carolyn Jones. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Watch an entirely different Dragnet case history each week on your local NBC television station. Please check your newspapers for the day and time. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Filter tip smokers, this is it. L&M Filters. The one filter tip cigarette with plenty of good taste. Much more flavor, much less nicotine. The right length for effective filtration. Only the L&M filter contains the miracle product, alpha cellulose, the purest material for filtering cigarette smoke. Yes, this is it. As Rosalind Russell puts it, L&M filters are just what the doctor ordered. Buy L&M filters, the light and mild smoke.
Hear Rocky Fortune following John Cameron Swayze and the news on the NBC Radio Network.